What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the show. So I'm going to be joined by two other panelists today, and we're going to talk about a lot of cool different topics that we found on the internet that were kind of interesting. Movie entertainment news, of course. We're going to talk about Star Wars. We're going to talk about Ahsoka. We're going to talk about where that's going, okay? And we're going to talk a little bit about Loki, but I know one of our panelists hasn't even seen the first episode of Loki Season 2, which I really cannot believe it. I don't know what kind of a fan he really is anymore. More a fair weather fan, I guess you could say. But first of all, let's welcome our first panelist. He's one of the four nerds. His name is Phil Barker. Woo!
We snaw.
We snaw.
We snaw, man. It's been a long time since I've been on your show.
I should do it again. And let's also welcome Mr. Ryan Zeberfett.
Hey! Thank you for the amazing intro, guys. If you're just now waking up, what the fuck? What are you doing? Okay, so yes, your intro took about 30 minutes, but we are still here. We're live.
I don't know why it bothers you. Everyone loves it. You're the only one.
What the fuck? I'm like, I could have been late.
I could have been late. This is Ryan's intro right here.
No one's ever really gone.
That's it. That's all I need. That's all I need. Let's go.
That's all he wants. That's all he wants. Okay, so guys, how are you doing today?
You know, I surprisingly had a decent Monday for a Monday.
Man, we had some awesome weather this past week over here, so I'm like...
I heard it was hot as hell. I heard you were sweating balls.
That was last week. This week's actually been really nice. So how it felt that day in California is how it felt today. So it's really
nice.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell me, do you have clouds where you're at, Andre? Because it was pretty cloudy where I'm at.
Yeah, it was very overcast today. It rained for like a short minute, and then it just stopped. John V is better than Loki. I don't like the intro. That's cool, Axel.
I'm not the only one. All right.
I haven't seen Gen V, so I can't.
I did watch a couple episodes of that.
Yeah, I'm on episode 3 right now. I like it. I think it's actually pretty cool.
It's not as good.
Well, no shit.
As The Boys. I'm sorry.
Of course
it's just not captivating me. It's like The Boys light. That's what
I wouldn't say it's light. Because it's pretty raunchy in itself.
Yeah. Well, it is raunchy, but it's like it has to be. It's kind of like, okay, so we've had sexual situations
in that world, so it kind of
happens. It's in that world, yeah. Like when she gets small to give that guy a fucking hand job.
The guy's
he's like, it's The Boys light. Like,
but it's sort of a reversal.
Fucking explodes, and they're fucking scraping up his guts.
The guy
off the
that
pavement
went into the other guy's penis or whatever, and then he like grew big or some shit.
Yeah,
destroyed the guy.
I thought you
kind of like that.
Gen V, okay.
It's kind of like that, but it's not. So Nah, I didn't think so because he was too small. He was like he was like if he was going to be somebody, they would have had him more like built and like set up. He was a really skinny kid, and I was like, I don't know how this kid's gonna work out.
I don't know. He reminded me of Homelander a little bit. not as big and all that. Yeah, but he just that's sort of the vibe I got from the guy, and I was like, okay,
there's your favorite line right there.
You guys aren't even ready for episode 4. LOL.
You went right over your head. Remember, like Rebel Moon? You're not ready for Rebel Moon.
Oh, is that a Dawson drop?
Yeah, that's what he's trying to say.
Oh, got it. Good on ya. Good on ya.
But Gen V is pretty good.
Put another shrimp on the barbie.
Shrimp on the barbie. That's not a knife.
Mate.
But, okay, so Gen V is pretty cool. I like it. There's definitely something to watch. Is there anything else you guys are watching right now besides that?
I saw Loki season 2, episode 1. I know you did, but
I thought it was really good. I knew Ryan wasn't going to see it. I told him that too. I told him last week. I was like, "Watch, Loki's going to come out, and you're going to be like, oh, I haven't watched it yet." Because you don't care about anything. All you care about is Star Wars, and that's it. You've let go of everything.
Actually, from Disney, that's the only thing that's come out that's like getting a little better. I guess they're kind of like,
Apparently, it had like 10 million views in its 3-day opening weekend, something like that.
Well, there's nothing else to watch.
There's nothing
That's
else to watch.
There's nothing
It's the only
other
thing
than
out
Gen
there.
V. I can't think of any other thing that I was like, oh yeah, no, I caught that.
Had-
I watched the Midnight Run yesterday
Had
with Robert
Loki,
De Niro.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's what I watched. I was like, you know what?
That's a
I
good
want to
shit.
watch
That's
a good movie.
yeah, had
It's-
Loki, had the second season not dropped, I probably would have canceled my Disney Plus subscription because I'm not dealing with another price hike. No.
Do they have one?
No.
Is there another price hike?
Yeah, they did. They're doing it. The price hike I think begins this month for Disney Plus.
Damn it.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it started out at $7.99 and now it's up to like I don't know 11, 12, $13.99, something like that. It's like what the fuck.
Nah, Bob Iger's like, let's scalp them.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Let's take them for all they got.
We got nothing coming out.
Gotta pay those writers somehow.
I know, right?
Hey, we're gonna offset the cost so it doesn't affect our
Raise
bottom line.
the rates. So fucked.
that's
Why
that's
would they
fucking
do
business,
that? You
man.
know?
Netflix
It's
is doing the
business.
same thing. So yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
they're
sorry,
all
but
doing it.
people are gonna kick and complain and all that, but it's gonna be like, man, this fucking sucks. I fucking hate it.
Well,
And they're just gonna-
okay. Here's my thing is that like when everyone's saying like, oh, you know, I stand with SAG, we got to help them out. It was, I don't know, it was kind of obvious that like once they got a deal struck that all the streaming services were going to raise their rates because they're like, cool, you guys want to stand behind them? Cool. Now you're going to pay more
Yeah, sure.
because we got to make up our losses. And that's what they're going to do. It fucking sucks.
Yep.
And we're still gonna pay it because we are the consumers, if we're
Yep.
willing to, obviously.
I'm going to pirate the whole thing. I don't care.
I've seen so many people be like, "Yep, heading back to the old seas," and it's like, yeah, I'm sure.
That's it, man. All right, so
Yeah.
let's go to our first bit of news here on the Nicotina Show. Oh, I didn't actually add it. There it is.
Oh.
So 8,435 WGA members voted in favor of ratifying this new contract, while 90 members opposed it. Now, who were the 90?
90.
Those 90
Yeah, the
members
90
were like,
opposed it.
fuck, damn it.
And we're gonna call them out individually and
I know.
collectively.
You know, those poor guys were like, they were like General Zod before he got sent in the Phantom Zone. You're a pack of fools.
Every last one of you.
One of you. You know? They're like, dude, shut up. We just want to get paid, okay?
Yeah.
I'm tired of this.
No.
But I mean,
I mean,
so
they
now
gotta
that's
pay their
over,
fucking dues as well.
They do. They're like, well, and that's what we're talking about. You know, when we talk about these streaming services, that just means that all they're going to do is just, you know, basically make us pay for it by raising all of the rates. And do you guys think that's fair that in order to get a contract worked out, that most likely the consumers are the ones who are going to have to pay for it?
That's business. I mean, as long as there's this, look, entertainment is fucking, that's tops, dude. I mean, whether it's sports or movies or television or music,
money. Nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody cares. Everyone wants to be entertained by something, right?
Yep.
You know, and that's why, you know, you got fucking YouTube Red, you've got, you know, all these other different, you know, things that like, oh, if you want this, you want to try this, you want to be entertained by this, you got to spend some money, man. And that's just kind of the society that we've developed and created. So, I mean, you know, it's a dog eat dog world.
I will find out.
What's up, Q?
Thank you, Q. What's going on, man? And Droga says the banking clan will sign your treaty. That's what they said at the table. They said the bankers were like, "Let's sign this shit. Let's go." I mean, Phil,
They own everything.
I mean, you know, it's kind of like the dark silver lining on this whole thing was that we were going to pay for it regardless. The writers weren't going to pay for it. The studios were like, "Oh, fine, we'll pay for it, but they're going to make us foot the bill." Is that fair?
Not
Should
really.
we go on strike as consumers?
Well, isn't that what they were trying to do? Not strike. What was it? Like fucking
Boycott.
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 Yes.
Oh, boycott.
And that worked successfully, as you can see.
Yeah, like the boycott WB, all that bullshit.
Right.
There's like 17 guys in a chat room who were like, "We're
Yeah.
doing it."
It just
making a
reminds me
difference.
of that one scene in fucking Liar Liar where he's like, you know, and what are you gonna do about it? Not, you know, I'm not gonna do absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
I'm just gonna fucking take it up the ass.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it up.
Because I mean,
What am I going to do? Take the small claims court, and you probably won't show up.
And it's so true.
It's so
classic
true.
Jim Carrey
It is.
movie
It
right
is.
there.
Hilarious.
That is one of his greatest films. Is Liar Liar.
Oh, sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's so
I agree.
good. And I agree with this, Droga. Boycott Droga 52. I agree. Definitely do that. But no, I mean, look, you got these groups of fans out there that are like, not even groups of fans. I would say like you have these DM groups that are like, hey, we're gonna boycott WB. Let's do it. Like, how has that gone? I mean,
okay. At the end of the day, it's not really about fucking boycotting, dude. It's about these people trying to rally each other up and fucking, it's a circle jerk. And
exactly, it's what it is, and
because it's
a
not going to do
community.
anything. It's just people that want to belong to something. They want to belong to the group, and so they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. What are we doing? They don't care,
Exactly.
dude. I mean, it's
They
like
don't
anybody. You go to a fucking like a picket.
Sheep.
A picket, like not this year the strike, but I mean, if you go to something else, like in front of a courthouse or whatever, like you ask like a number of people, like, why are you here? What do you stand for? Or whatever. They're like, I don't know. I came with my friends. I came to support them. I don't really know what the fuck this means. I don't understand the acronym, of whatever it is they have on their fucking board. So I mean, it's not about that. It's about like everybody feels like they have to kind of, they want to belong to a group. Or some sort of organization or something like that, and they are and they want to help out people that they like so that they'll be accepted by those same people.
Yeah,
and get to hang out with them and say, yeah, remember that time that we did X, Y, and Z and all that shit.
I mean, it's like I hate naming names, but like the whole like Make the Batfleck movie account, it's like, dude, why do you still exist? I mean, look, it's like
I'm not gonna say that guy's a moron. But...
Andre knows why I'm laughing, but it's not at all related to this.
Oh, and then the moron tried to like talk back to me. He was like, I didn't use that. I didn't make that meme. Somebody else did. Calm the fuck down. I'm like,
with his burner account.
Yeah, it's just, but it's shit like that where it's like, dude, you serve zero purpose. Now, obviously, the guy's not going to get rid of his account because he's got like 20,000 followers. Right. So he's like, well, I got to keep it going for some reason. I don't know
for some
why.
reason. Yeah.
Because you never know when it happens. And if it happens, I got to be there to say fuck you to everybody. It's like, dude, if it happens, I'll be ecstatic. And I won't go to you for any information.
I'm going back to Flash Film News.
I'm going back to Cali. But no, it's just ridiculous, the type of shit that you run into on, especially social media, especially Twitter, better known as X. This is the dumbest shit.
It should be called 10.
Yeah, we should rename it to 10.
Yeah,
but
10 or X, whatever the fuck. I was actually looking at your intro and I was like, should you still have the Twitter logo on there? I guess it doesn't really matter because people still call it Twitter, but I was like,
I haven't even changed it yet. I haven't gotten around to it.
What's the point? Because people, again, still call it fucking Twitter. So it's like, they know
still
what
call
you
it
mean.
Twitter. Like, nobody calls it X. I mean, even I was watching one of the NFL shows, before the games, and they were like, yeah, over on Twitter. They just say
yeah, no, I mean, the thing is with this whole X thing, like, nobody fucking adopts it because it's not unique. It's not something that's catchy. It's not something that is, I mean, Twitter, like you sort of like at the beginning, at its inception, it was like, it's kind of like it's like going to fucking IHOP and asking for the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity. Because you don't want to fucking say Twitter, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, I tweet, like what the fuck, when it first came out, I was like, yeah, no, I just, I post.
Well, now we just post and
I
repost.
Yeah, repost.
Quote post.
And I call it I use X. I'm on X.
Yeah.
I can't even say it at work. Someone's like oh, did you yeah, I tweeted that out, or like, yeah, I'm on like I saw it on Twitter, and
yeah,
I can't say X.
It's like, what are you X on? You're on ecstasy? Like, what are you saying? You're on X?
I think like why not just call it like Twitter X? You know what I mean? Or
it should have been something that you can really brand. Instead, it's like fucking like I love Prince, but instead it's like his symbol. It's like, why? How do you like if they made a social media platform using his symbol? It's like, what do you call it? Like all the symbol.
The Prince.
I still believe like the main reason why it's called X. One, Elon Musk has like this infatuation with the letter X. And one of his one of his kids is named X.
Yeah.
But yeah, he loves the letter. But the main reason why I think he changed it to X is because, well, you look over at Facebook and what are they called now? They're called Meta. So now you have like, you know, the Oculus by Meta, the Metaverse. You have this. So he wants to be able to brand things like, oh, the new fucking watch by X. You know what I mean? It's more marketable than saying, oh, here's the three, you know, the fucking virtual reality by Twitter. Like, what? What does that mean? Someone's gonna like fucking talk shit to me the entire time?
Probably.
Get it on X.
Get it on X. You know, when I think of X, I think of that room at the video store that I couldn't go. That had the curtain.
Yes.
That shit doesn't exist anymore. Our kids will never know the experience of going into a video store and seeing the curtain and saying, "Oh, that's for adults only." And then, like, you'd always see that guy come out of there, like, you're just like, "What was he doing?" And then your dad
would say, "Okay, get your movies too.
Get your movie. Let's go. I'm ready.
I'm ready for me and your moms to watch a movie in our room with the door locked.
Me and your mom, so don't bother us. The door's gonna be locked." All right, let's move on to our next topic. This was the tweet from Tom Taylor. He says, "Deceased is brought to anti-life." Check it. Warner Brothers World launches the DC official Deceased Maze today. It's our new deluxe edition. So there's a box set that came out, but watch this. You know what? Let me reshare it because I didn't share with any sound because, you know, StreamYard's fucking stupid like that. Here we go. Here is and can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
It's pretty low budget. Why would you? I'm probably gonna get hit with copyright for this. God. I like how they went with the all spandex suit.
Yeah, let's go.
Uh-oh!
Is that for like some sort of app?
I don't really know.
Movie World? What the fuck is that?
I don't know what WB Movie World is.
James Gunn, where are you with this shit?
I feel like James Gunn saw this and was like, yes, that's going to be my DCU right there. I just thought it looked really low budget.
It is.
I thought Wonder Woman looked like shit. I mean, Batman looked all right. What's that?
Echo.
Just say there's an echo. There you go. It's done now.
Okay. Yeah.
So Wonder Woman and Joker being zombies, that happens. That's in the book. Batman is also one of the first people to get zombified too.
Yeah.
The Robin thing kind of bugged me because Damian's the one who becomes Batman in the deceased universe. So
he's a zombie right away.
Right. And it's like, okay, I get it. It's obviously a maze. You want to emphasize the fact that these DC characters are fucking zombies now, but it's like, you could have made it a little more accurate, but that's nitpicking at best. I mean, it's cool. I don't know where the hell that's at, but I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it gives you no description
is it
on
supposed
anything.
to be like at Six Flags or some shit?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Watch
these people.
Okay, so here it is, and it
right.
says,
No, it is. It is Fright Night. So that's Six Flags.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm like, what is it? It has to be Six Flags.
I used to work at Six Flags, so.
There's the comic that's coming out, the deluxe edition. That probably has all the issues. People were like, "Wow, that was an amazing trailer! Awesome!" These are probably his friends. That's so dope. No response. It's the way I need to make it. It's just so dumb. These people are just like getting on their knees, like, "Yeah, I love it. Incredible, brilliant." It wasn't that good. I was just like, But for a theme park,
you're a negative Nancy.
If you
I don't understand what
logo,
Movie World is though. Fright Nights, I get, but I don't understand Movie World. What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it must have been. It
strange.
must have been after your time.
I know Tom Taylor is like one of the more interactive comic book writers on social media, so that kind of tracks. But I don't doubt there's probably people in that comment section like just being brown sniffers. It doesn't.
Oh, absolutely. So there it is, guys. Check out Fright Night. I guess it's all month, I would imagine, for Six Flags. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. Thought I'd show you guys. Let's move on. So I got this one I want to show you guys. God, stupid thing. And this was somebody made this. Would you watch this movie? It says "Hello, Bruce," and it's Saw. Would you watch Batman versus Saw?
That's a fucking
It'd
James
be really
Bond movie
short.
I'd watch.
It'd be a really short movie.
Yeah,
he's no Riddler, I'll tell you that.
This guy's like, yes, I definitely would.
Only if James Wan would make it. I'd only watch it if James Wan did it.
He'd be a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
no, he would
literally it because he's the godfather of the Saw franchise, and he mentioned, I think around the time Aquaman, they were promoting Aquaman, he was asked if there are any other DC heroes he'd like to do, and he said he'd do something the effect of if he could, like a Batman horror movie, and I'm like, well, there it is, right there.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? What was it? That the concept art of of the Justice League, or at least Batman and Superman being in the original Aquaman movie. The movie itself would have been a totally different movie where Orm and the Atlanteans would have attacked Earth, and then the Justice League would have helped Aquaman kind of fight them off.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed feelings.
I mean, the movie that we got, I mean, obviously it did $1 billion, but I thought it was a pretty good movie, but there were some really dumb scenes in it, like the Italy scene where she eats the rose. Like, that was just really bad. I was like, what are we doing?
The whole pit bull scene was stupid.
I would have cut all that out for that. I mean, it would have made it more epic, I think,
Sure.
I think on one hand, it would have been cool, because obviously it would have leaned into the whole shared universe idea.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think on the other hand, it was Aquaman's first movie. And if you look at what happened with The Flash, having multiple other DC characters in that film didn't really do it too many favors. And I think keeping Aquaman more standalone did it all the favors, especially after what happened with Justice League.
And instead it was just like a carried over right after, Justice League.
Right.
So
Right. Exactly.
Anyway, I thought it was pretty cool. I'd see it. Batman
concept art
Saw.
looked great.
I would rather watch a like a real Scarecrow Batman, something like freaky, and just have him really mess with him and shit. That would be fun. I think it could be like him and Clayface, and then Clayface gets him fucking morphs into all kinds of shit.
That'd be cool.
The Batman 89 comic is getting a continuation follow-up in the form of Batman 89 Echoes, and they're pulling concepts from that 5th scrapped Batman film, Unchained or Triumphant, whatever the fuck it would have been called.
Oh, Triumphant, yeah.
Yeah, and they're using Scarecrow and apparently Harley Quinn. So, yeah, I'm kind of with Ryan. I'd actually like to see Scarecrow be a main antagonist. I mean, he was an antagonist in Batman Begins, but him being the head honcho.
He was potato sackhead man.
Sure.
And I'm sorry, but he was just kind of he was there almost in name only. He had attributes of the Scarecrow, but not really of Jonathan Crane.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really like the adaptation. And I was like, okay, it's cool that he's in all 3 films, but he just wasn't really a
cool.
presence.
Like the continuity of having him across all three films was nice, but I do think that, it's Christopher Nolan. He modernized it and made it, grounded and real. So obviously, the whole burlap sack over the suit thing was like, it was a little like off. But then you get him in like the straight jacket, and it's like, okay, yeah, that's a little more like it.
Sure.
I wish they would have kept that throughout the trilogy, because in Dark Knight, he gets picked up and it's the same deal.
I mean, it would have been awesome to have the fucking Freddy Krueger hand, needle thing.
Sure, yeah.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
Wearing a gas mask, and then maybe a hood on top of the burlap hood on top of that.
Well, that's kind of how he looked in Arkham Knight. The gas mask and all that. Look,
well, even like Arkham Asylum, he had a like a very creepy, twisted look to it with the needle fingers.
Yeah. So I mean, they could really give you something, something scary, with Batman and Scarecrow.
That's my new punk band. That's my new punk band, Needle Fingers.
Needle Fingers.
There you go.
That's gonna be the name of our new late night show on 4Nerds.
That's the trailer.
Needle Fingers.
Needle Fingers.
Now, apparently, Phil didn't notice this. I noticed it the moment I saw it in the show. I was like, "Whoa!"
I knew it when they were in pre-production.
Whatever. I saw the X and I was like, dude, that looks like the entrance to Cerebro. And not only that, but like the platform let out and I was like, this looks like fucking Cerebro. Like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me when I watched the episode. I was like, oh, that's neat.
It was a good episode. I actually liked it.
Same.
Of Loki season 2, episode 1. Ryan hasn't seen it. He probably will never will.
I know short rounds in it. They're giving him more work, which is good.
It's good, but however, and I thought he did a good job. But again, I feel like we're getting the same character that he was in Everything Always at Once. You know what I mean? It was kind of the same thing. Like they saw that movie and thought, dude, that'd be really cool if we got him to be in Loki as almost the same character. Like, yeah, let's do it. But still, it's cool to see him, on screen and being in a show like this. But overall, though.
Yeah. I definitely didn't catch this when I watched it. Like, I wasn't even thinking X-Men when I saw it. Matter of fact, this was such a, like, blink and you miss it moment. I was just more concerned with where they were progressing the story for episode 1. But yeah, now that I see this, it's like, it's clear as fucking day. Yeah, that's clearly an X-Men nod.
It was definitely an X-Men nod. And then they don't show it in this little clip I have here, but like when they opened up, it led out to a platform just like Cerebro in the old Fox X-Men. So yeah. I think we're definitely going to be getting more nods to the X-Men. And but overall, though, since Ryan didn't see it, what was your take on Loki season 2, Phil?
I mean, I really, really like the first one, the first season. That's honestly, it's in like my top 5 of the MCU ranking overall. I thought it's really strong. Even though there's a clear change in like direction and cinematography because they changed up their directors and also the cinematographer, but still, it feels very in line with what we've seen before. I like that it picks up right where season 1 ends. It's funny because I see a lot of people like kind of complaining about the timey-wimey jargon, and I didn't have a problem following it at all. It flowed very well, but then again, I've studied, not like hardcore study, but like I've looked into time travel quite a bit after watching a few time travel movies. So it was, I guess, a little easier for me to follow. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right here, baby. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I like Tom Hiddleston.
He did a really good job in this. I mean, like, he totally sold it for me. I loved when he used the rod to like hit the wall.
Yeah.
And you see all the Kangs, it was really cool. And, kind of letting them know that, like, hey, look, this guy's been in control the entire time.
Is it still that guy?
Yeah, it's Jonathan Majors.
Yes, 100%. He's back.
They're not going to recast him. Yeah, no. He's in the show.
Yeah. I did like that. I have questions, and I'm sure they're probably going to get answered. Like, number one, who the fuck was calling the phone? Who the fuck?
Yeah, because he was staring at it. He was staring at the phone, and he didn't pick it up, and it made you wonder who was on that phone.
And who the fuck pruned him? Who pruned him in time to have him get pulled out of the time loom? That's also what I want to know. And also, I liked that this episode even ends with a post-credit scene because we have not seen we didn't, I think, get one at all for Secret Invasion. So getting a post-credit scene. For any of the episodes of Secret Invasion, I don't think they did one post-credit scene.
No, I'm saying this had a end credit
yeah.
scene.
So there's an end credit scene.
I turned it off and went to bed.
Oh yeah, there's an end credit scene that shows Sylvie going to a branch timeline in 1982 Oklahoma. She walks into a McDonald's and dude's like, "Oh hey, how you doing? What do you want?" And she looks up at the menu and she's like, "I want everything. I want to try it all." Because it's clearly Sylvie in wake of having killed He Who Remains, but then also when the elevator props open, there's fucking Sylvie, and she goes, "Oh, there you are." The theory running around is that future Loki pruned himself.
Probably.
Which wouldn't at all surprise me if that was the case.
It's interesting too because like in the show Loki, it's like he's not the original Loki from, Infinity War and all that. Like that one's dead.
Right.
This is the variant that you saw who got the Tesseract and in Endgame.
Endgame.
I was like, wow. That's kind of cool how like he himself is a variant,
Yes. Yes.
I
like
but
that.
Yeah, no.
The Endgame theory I have, no pun intended, I think this version of Loki is actually going to be the one to potentially assemble a multiversal team of Avengers to take on Kang and the rest of the Council of Kangs in either Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars.
That wouldn't surprise me because, even with with Deadpool 3,
yep.
I think that at some point, or if not an end credit scene or at the end, is when you're going to see Loki kind of trying to bring everyone together. Or that could even happen in after the Kang Dynasty. But going back to the all those rumors about Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, I hope that at the end of all of this, at the end of Secret Wars, they just reboot the MCU. To me, it badly needs a reboot. I think that carrying it on is just there's nothing left to carry on.
I think after Secret Wars, they will have gone through a lot of really major important storylines that Marvel has been notorious for and what they're recognized for. So going forward after that, it's probably going to be a little more difficult. I mean, they're taking pitches from writers for X-Men right now, so that tells me that they are obviously going to do some version of the X-Men in the Marvel Cinematic Universe post-Secret Wars. What the Marvel Cinematic Universe looks like post-Secret Wars, will it be a hard reboot? It's really tough to say because obviously there's a fourth Spider-Man movie in the works with Tom Holland set to reprise his role. You'd have to imagine they're going to try and squeeze another trilogy out of him. They might even kill him and hand the mantle off to Miles. I honestly don't know. It's really up in the air as far as Spider-Man goes, but everyone else, it'd be probably in their best interest to maybe reboot, considering, I think people want to see like Captain America, like Steve Rogers face off Cyclops, because that's another prominent thing that no one's seen. I think people want to see like Hulk and Wolverine do the fastball special. I think people want to see that. I think there's a lot of stuff they want to do with X-Men and even Fantastic Four that they didn't have the opportunity to do in the past 15 years that they will have going post Secret Wars. But I don't know.
And that was one of the things I was telling Ryan earlier today. I was like, I think that if after Secret Wars or after whatever movie, I think that when you reboot the MCU, you start with the X-Men. And then as the X-Men stories move on, you start to introduce, Tony Stark and Steve Rogers and all the other characters. And then essentially you already know their backstories because you've seen the original MCU, so you know what they've been up to. And now you can introduce them as, as their alter ego and also as just Captain America, as Iron Man. They're already established within the MCU lore. So I think now it's time to give the time and attention to the X-Men. And I think that was a mistake. Well, I don't know if it's a mistake, but that was one of the problems with introducing like Shang-Chi and Moon Knight and these other characters is that we haven't seen them since. Yeah. Like since their shows, we haven't seen them. So you're like, so are we still into this, or was that just a one-off? Like, I don't get it.
Like the only one who's getting attention right now is because they have an immediate movie coming out. The Marvels is going to bring back Kamala Khan. That's literally it. Other than that, no Shang-Chi, hardly any Captain Marvel. I mean, we've got Captain America Brave New World coming next year, probably. If I had to guess, Captain America Brave New World is probably going to take the December slot from Thunderbolts because there's absolutely no fucking way Deadpool 3 makes its May 3rd release date.
They said they're still going to do it because
I know.
I think they were at the end of shooting before the strike hit or towards the end of it. So Maybe they can. I don't know, but they got to make sense of this shit because right now, I'm like, yeah, it's one episode and I enjoy Loki, but I just like the Marvels. I mean, I'm gonna see it, but I don't think it's gonna blow me away. And on top of that, I mean, when was the last time we saw Captain Marvel in Miss Marvel, the TV show?
Yeah.
And before that, it was
Shang-Chi.
Was she in Shang-Chi?
She was at the very tail end of Shang-Chi with Bruce Banner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because her, Wong, and Banner are there trying to figure out what the fucking rings are sending a signal to.
Oh, God. Remember, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's how long ago that was. I don't even remember the end.
That was 2 years ago.
Shit,
yeah.
That was 2 years ago. And you haven't heard shit from it. Now, I would imagine, hopefully in the Marvels, they would kind of touch on that again and sort of like reconnect it. You know, like, hey, remember Shang-Chi? Remember we did this? But who knows? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough to say. I mean, you know, the Marvels is also going to include Monica Rambeau. She's reprising her role from the Marvel, or sorry, wow, WandaVision. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, that'll be cool. And obviously, you know, Wanda made a reappearance in Multiverse of Madness. It'll be, you know, up in the air whether or not she comes back for a future installment. I actually would not be shocked to see a variant Wanda, if not Wanda from 838, get pulled into Secret Wars.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like, she needs to be in the universe. I don't like that she's not. That she was one of my more favorite characters, and then they kind of just like, I don't know, they kind of after.
Do you think they'll reintroduce Quicksilver?
Yes, I do.
I think they will if they reboot, but I don't think they will moving forward. I think it'll just be. I mean, they might bring over the Fox one, but they've already kind of fucked that up.
They already did. Fucking
with Ralph
Boner.
Yeah, that was a shame.
That was a shame.
Weird.
You know what? Like WandaVision was like the first MCU show where I was like, dude, they're going real deep right here, and they've got something real good. And then they went and just fucked it all up. They were just like, we don't care. Fuck it.
Yeah, they were like,
we have a plan.
You like X-Men? This is what we're gonna do.
Yeah. We're gonna, as Neil would say, they were honey dicking the whole time. It sucked. I was like, man, how can you do that? I was so into that show, and then it just fucking went to shit. It was unbelievable, dude.
The buildup was there for a great payoff, and then they completely dropped the ball with that payoff.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like they dropped the ball on purpose. They were like, yeah, everyone thinks we're doing that. Isn't that funny? Yeah. Well,
I just got off the phone with Ryan Johnson. He said we're going to subvert their expectations.
Wouldn't at all be shocked to see Ryan Johnson wind up in the MCU somewhere down the line.
Kalal, no.
Come on, don't bullshit me.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit. Bullshit.
He'll have Tony Stark come back and like be a fucking like just a wash up. Like, well, how'd you live? How are you alive right now? No one's ever really gone.
Oh God. So Michael Mann, he wrote a book for Heat 2, and he says that Heat 2 is planned to be his next film. Adam Driver could potentially star as a young Neil McCauley. Now, so I know with the book Heat 2, it's basically all the characters, but at a earlier point in time.
So
it kind of shows it's a prequel.
Right.
It's a prequel, but it also takes place in modern times. So it's like a continuation with a shit ton of flashbacks.
It's in a multiverse.
It's a multiverse movie. I'd be down for Heat 2. Now, obviously, I don't think Val Kilmer would be down for it, but I know Robert De Niro doesn't look like that anymore. Nor does not Joe Pesci.
Joe
Al
Pesci?
Pacino.
You think that's
Al
Joe
Pacino?
Dunkachino.
But
Dunkachino.
this was a good movie, though. I really loved Heat, the first one. I think everybody does.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was a good movie.
It was good. So Heat 2, maybe
it took Al
works.
Pacino a little bit to like kind of catch on.
I haven't seen Heat in a while. Which one is Neil McCauley? Is that Pacino's character, or is that De Niro's character? Because I honestly don't remember.
The only thing I didn't like about that movie was the end when he shot De Niro. It looked so it was just the worst. Like you know those classic like turn gun kind of shots or whatever. It was horrible. I don't remember which one Neil is.
I don't know either. I think it's Al Pacino, but I could be wrong.
I'll just IMDb it right now. Let me see. Let's see which one.
Yeah, it was a good movie, but that one part was just kind of.
So Chuck says it's De Niro.
Okay.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Chuck.
Okay, so if Adam Driver's playing a young De Niro, yeah,
That makes sense.
I could see that. Question is, who do you get to play a young? Actually, you know what? I'd actually probably get Glenn Powell to play a young Val Kilmer's character.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like, just continue that Top Gun trend, right? Because he was basically Iceman.
Pretty
in
much.
Maverick. He was
Yeah.
more or less the
That's
Iceman.
But yeah, I mean, Val Kilmer, could not reprise any kind of role. Gary Sinise can't. Oh, not Gary Sinise. What's his name? The other actor who's in this movie who recently passed away. He was the other guy who picked up the kid and was running, and he ended up getting killed. He was in Saving Private Ryan.
Tom Hanks?
No.
Who do you get to play a young Pacino though? That's the real question. You need like someone with a force to play that cop, and man, I don't know. That's a tough one.
You know what you do? You just de-age them. That's it.
Ah.
Oh, so we're getting another Irishman?
I was just gonna say that Irishman all over again. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
All right,
Like,
all
hey,
right,
these guys are like in their early 20s, but they can't move.
They can't move. All right, let's move on. Here we have some Rebel Moon pops.
Oh, wow.
Looks pretty cool. Meg posted these earlier. Let me see if I can make them a little bigger there. There we go. We got Jimmy, the robot.
Jimmy Neutron.
Nemesis, Cora, Titus, Kai, and Atticus Noble.
Noble.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot riding on this. You know that? I mean, as excited as I am for Rebel Moon, there's a lot riding on this. I mean, if this comes out and is not well received, it's going to be a real shame.
You know what really kind of bothers me about this?
What's that?
Is Zack Snyder has yet to get a fucking Funko Pop made of himself.
I know.
You
You would think they would have by now.
Well,
right?
I mean, how many directors have a Funko Pop?
How many?
A few, believe it or not, a few.
Okay.
There's one I'm not going to name because I know it'll just piss everybody off.
Jeff Johns?
No, not him.
Joss Whedon?
Nope, not him.
Why did you say that name?
Who is it? Spielberg. Scorsese.
I think Spielberg actually does have one of himself.
Kevin Feige.
I think he might actually have one too, but no, I'll say it in the private chat.
Oh my god. It's like Jeffrey Dahmer. Like,
Guys,
what?
No.
Oh, James Gunn?
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, he's posted pictures of his Funko. Yeah.
These nuts?
Close.
So Rebel Moon is coming out soon, so check it out.
I was gonna ask which one you guys wanted because I want Jimmy and Cora.
I'll
Jimmy
take
one
any
looks
of them,
cool.
really.
Fair
Okay, so it's not a Nicotina show without something to do with the Snyderverse. So here we go. This is
Really?
courtesy of Screen Rant. Zach. So this was a comment from the director of the Moon Knight director. He made a comment about the Snyder Cut, or about the DCEU,
Oh,
and he said James Gunn is a much greater artist than Zack Snyder. Oh man, he said Snyder's work in all the movies he made didn't appeal to me. I like James Gunn's films much more. I think he's a much greater artist and a very clever writer, and will do excellent work for DC. And I'm not busy right now, so please hire me.
He's trying to get a job.
He's probably trying to get a
That's how
job.
that read to me.
Yeah.
Number one. Also, they're quoting the Cosmic Circus. They knew
I
full
know.
well. They knew full well what the fuck they were fishing for when
Source
they even asked
Arabic
him about
Marvel.
Arabic Marvel.
What does that even mean?
That means Marvel.
This. And it's like, you knew damn good and well exactly what you were anticipating when asking this guy the question, because Mohammed Diab has been on record just trashing DC since Wonder Woman 1984.
You know what? This whole thing, again, it just deserves this.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
Yeah, Screen
Gives
Rant, man.
a
They really
shit.
go to the bottom of the barrel for a lot of their shit.
It's like, who gives a shit
Depends on
what
who's writing for
Mohammed
Screen Rant.
Diab said? You know what I mean? He can have an opinion. I don't give a shit. But to post
Yeah,
it like this
I-
is just
I
to get
agree with that.
triggers.
I agree that, hey, dude, if that's just, Zack Snyder stuff just isn't your bag, that's cool. But, it's like
To take
what?
it a step further and like mention the fact that, his work didn't really speak to me. I think James Gunn's better. It's just like, how much more fucking pompous could you come off?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you guys are just like, it's opinion news. Like, what the fuck? Like,
it's like have some fucking class. The Russo brothers had Zach on the Pizza Film Show, and they were just like, yeah, dude, you do amazing work with what you've done. And it's like, you have Zack Snyder and the Russo brothers who have made arguably some of the most iconic comic book films ever made. Yeah, I know, right? Passionate, talking
pun.
fast. It was kind of a pun, an unintentional one at that. But seriously, like you have these directors who've made arguably some of the most iconic comic book films ever time: Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Man of Steel, BVS, Zack Snyder's Justice League, and they're coming together like, yeah, we love what you do, I love what you do, and they're just being cordial with each other. And this is just straight up like, please hire me, I'll say nice things about you. It's like, dude, grow some fucking class.
yeah, where do you get your fucking lessons from? Zachary Levi? So
For real.
too soon.
No.
But no, I
Not at all.
I think all he had to say was like, hey, Zach's interpretation of these characters really didn't speak to me, but I'm looking forward to what James Gunn has to offer. I really like his work, and
Exactly.
then and what you do is you're cordial, and you're not trying to stir any pots. You're not trying to throw any daggers out there, and it's just like, you can sound professional or you can sound like a child, and
Yep.
this person sounds like a child.
100%. And it's
He
like,
sounds like a
it's
child.
like, granted, he is of that ethnicity, so I understand the criticisms towards like Wonder Woman 84's setting and like the whole big wine fit he had about Black Adam. Granted, I feel like if you're going to do Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson was probably the one guy in Hollywood who was not of that ethnicity who could pull that role off. And unfortunately, he's not going to reprise that role for reasons. But it's like, going with this man, this really rubbed me the wrong way, because I kind of like Moon Knight. I like Moon Knight quite a bit, but it's just
a lot.
but it's like, it's like, this is just in such poor taste. It's like, dude, if you come back, I'm really not going to be inclined to like watch any more of what you do, because this is just childish, like of the nth degree. And I don't know. This is just bullshit, absolute fucking bullshit, if you ask me.
Well, I mean, look, at the end of the day, when you look at what Zach was doing over with DCU, I mean, he was creating a graphic novel type story. I think that if WB wasn't so eager to get to Justice League and they said, hey, we love what you did here, let's really flesh out this universe, you would have gotten probably a Man of Steel 2 is what you would have gotten.
Probably.
And then from there, who knows what would have
You
happened.
would have gotten an audience that could have grown with the characters,
Exactly.
and sort of get more introduced to that world, and be more accepting of like, okay, and also Zach and team would have said, okay, this worked, this didn't work, we can make modifications and changes here and there, and really craft something that is edifying for them to make, but also beneficial for them to release to make max profit. And that's just wasn't what happened, because the people who are in charge of these properties, this franchises, they're not really interested in the long term. That they wanted the short road to success, and they were willing to skip certain processes or skip certain not landmines, but landmines, landmarks, to achieve the success that they wanted.
Instead, they created landmines
instead of landmarks, they fell on landmines.
Exactly. But I think that, looking at it, for them to say, hey, we got to get the Justice League, we want our MCU, for having to make a story that got you to that, I think he did a really good job. But, obviously, we enjoyed it, but not everybody, not others for whatever reason, but still. But having said that, Ryan will be right back, and we will move on to our next topic. If I'm even on the right screen, there it is. Did you see this shit? They were like, Marvel has been leaking false names to insiders, including Daniel RBK and My Time to Shine. And then RBK replied, an important note, that isn't true, and the account is full of shit. Well, who is full of shit? The whole thing was so stupid. Did you see this tweet?
I
Phil?
did. And
This one?
it wouldn't shock me if that's the case, but at the same time, like as I've said on other places, I don't put stock into any of their bullshit. Be it Daniel RPK, be it My Time to Shine, be it Grace Randolph, be it Jeff fucking Snyder. I don't care if they have the scoop, if they have the inside, fucking good for them. They're only revealing this shit so they can make a name for themselves. If it's not official from anyone of, say, Marvel, DC, James Gunn, at this point, either James Gunn, Kevin Feige, who the fuck ever, I don't care. I really don't care, because at that point, if you wind up being right, number one, good for you, but number two, fuck you, because that's supposed to be a special surprise for people in the audience, and you're just avidly fucking ruining that experience for people, and I don't appreciate that at all.
Yeah, it's fucking dumb.
But if this is the case, and Feige gave out fake castings,
that wouldn't surprise me. I'll tell you that.
Good for him.
Yeah,
good for him.
It wouldn't surprise me. I just thought it was funny that he even took time to reply to this. I was just like it makes it look like you're more full of shit when you reply to shit like this. Like, oh, that account's full of shit. Like, oh, I bet. Okay, cool, awesome.
Wow.
Tight. I don't give a shit.
It's interesting.
Interesting.
Doesn't Daniel usually? I don't know. Isn't he more professional than that?
You would think, but no, he likes to leak shit in his personal Discord from time to time. But I don't really find him all that professional. Personally, I don't find him professional. I don't find Big Screen Leaks professional. I don't find any of them professional, to be brutally honest with you. Nice.
What was that?
It was a soda.
Yeah.
Is it all over the floor?
No.
Not completely.
Not completely. But
all right,
there is some splatter.
While you clean that up, let's move on. A sequel to Prey is reportedly in development. It's a very short little tweet, but if it's true, I'm very happy because I loved Prey. I thought it was really good. There's a lot of things I liked about it, not many things I didn't like about it. I thought it was a very solid film. And I loved how in this film, everybody wanted to fucking fight the Predator. Even the fucking Native Americans were like, they were going towards him, like, fuck it, let's fight, Yeah. In every movie, they fire their guns and they're like, they just die, These guys were like, fuck it, bring it on. So this was a good movie. I really enjoyed this film. I know Ryan didn't like the ending, but I liked it. I thought it was good, guys.
I thought it had a lot of really good things in it.
The only thing I didn't like the biggest thing I didn't like was that it didn't have the Predator theme anywhere in the movie, and that was where I thought at the very end, during the credits, it should have played that song. You know that song? Badass song.
They're like, but we have to get the rights from Alvin Silvestri.
Forget it.
I think I definitely liked it more than the last one Shane Black did, The Predator.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Yeah, that one didn't really gel well.
It was more well thought out, or a better take than Predators, which was just a rehash of.
I love Predators.
I like Predators, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, it was the same story setup, but just like, okay, we're going to change locations, and we're also going to change the people a little bit.
Yep. I will say the twist with Topher Grace was actually really well done.
I did like that. I was like, oh yeah, because that was right after Venom, and I was like, oh man, yeah, he's still got some of the Venom with him.
He's still got some of that symbiote.
But no, I like Lawrence Fishburne's character in it.
Yeah.
I liked the other Predators, the design that they had.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, the Shane Black movie was just, it was like, okay, we're making a Predator that's 8 foot tall.
It was not
good. It was just like, what are we doing? And the I don't know, like the actors that were in it, I didn't give a shit about.
I want somebody to come back and give me a proper fucking AVP.
No, I wish they would have given us a proper, sequel to Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but not now. Yeah. He's too old. But I wanted to see Dutch come back at some point.
I think they tried. I think they tried to get him back for a small cameo bit for a post-credit scene, but it ultimately didn't
they wrote Predator 2 for him, and he turned it down. And then that's when they got Daniel Glover, and they changed the fucking setting and put it in the future and gave everybody Astro vans, and it was just like, what the fuck are we doing here?
It was like, I know it was Los Angeles, and it was the Jamaicans versus the Colombians.
And you had homeboy in it, Bill Paxton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he had to be in that. You know what I mean?
He was
all
in
those
it.
movies.
He was in Aliens. He's in Predator. He's in
Terminator.
Terminator. And
He always dies.
He dies in all three of them. Yeah.
But he's in all three of those franchises. Which there was a video game that I used to play with my kids where it was AVP and it was fucking awesome. It was you could choose who you wanted to be and it was Aliens versus Predator versus like the fucking
Colonial Marines.
soldiers.
Yeah,
it was fun.
The Colonial Marines, and that's the thing too is that like if you're gonna do Alien versus Predator, it has to be set in that universe with the Marines, with with Wayland Yutani, with all that shit. And like Shane Black had even filmed that that possible end credit scene that they never used, which is the pod was gonna open up and it was gonna be Ellen Ripley was gonna be in one of the pods, which would have made no sense. But they filmed it anyway with just like a stand-in, like a body, like a body dummy laying in there. But even that was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Shane Black's Alien movie or a Predator movie, I didn't like at all. I love Predators. I thought it was a lot of fun. Yeah, they basically just said, hey, look, we're going to take everything you loved about the first two films and we're just going to make a cool film that doesn't make any fucking sense. But it won't matter because we're just on a planet where they just hunt people.
Like the one person besides Topher Grace that really sold it was the lead. I forget his name. He played the piano.
Adrian Brody.
And what's funny is that like if you would have told me
that's awesome.
that Adrian Brody was going to be the lead in an action film, Predators, I would have said that's a bad casting. But he did really good. I was like, wow, actually, this guy. Well, he's a good actor, so that's why he was able to pull it off.
He's a really good actor,
and he got shredded for that movie too. Like he was so shredded.
Oh yeah,
I was like, God damn, he put in a lot of work in this movie. I thought he was gonna go, like, hey, what's up? But no, he was ripped. I was like, God damn. And like they had the Russian guy who had the Gatling gun as a callback to the first Predator.
Yeah.
They had the Yakuza.
They had the guy that did the whole standoff, just like the other guy did in the other Predator movie. The Indian guy. They had him, sort of like, okay, you guys go on. I'm gonna fucking stay here and fight the Predator and die.
Yeah, the Yakuza, the Asian guy who had the sword.
Yeah.
And what was funny about that was that he did the standoff and he actually fought the fucking thing and he ended up killing it, but it killed him too. While like in Predator, he was the guy cut his chest and was like, yeah, and he dies immediately. I was like, come on, man, you couldn't even get a swing in.
You can do the chopper.
And that was a badass scene. He's staying there, and you see the Predator all cloaked, like spreading his arms out ready to fight, and then he kills him immediately. I was like, oh, the guy didn't even stand a chance. I don't know. It was pretty sad. But Prey is reportedly in development. Prey 2, I can't wait. I love Prey 1. And the thing I loved about Prey 1, or the movie Prey, is she got the gun in that movie.
From Predator.
Oh,
from
the
and
guys
it's the same one that you saw in Predator 2. I love that they did that because I'm like, dude, I hope it's good, but I want to know how it got to the other Predators that he was able to give it to Danny Glover later on in time.
And
I just thought it was cool.
I think that right there, that little piece right there from carrying that over from Predator 2, I think that's honestly how you kind of keep this franchise going. Like, do Predators, but in different time periods. And I think doing a Predator movie set in like the 1700s, because this one was in like
also go to a
earlier
different
than that
part of the of the region of the earth. Go to like China or go to wherever. They have to and show us different different peoples and different fighting styles and shit, and how it the sort of
show
I don't
me
say struggles, but just just show me some different come on guys, you got to do it.
Honestly, like, show me a feudal era Japan Predator film with the Predator fighting samurais. That would be fucking lit.
That would be badass.
I would love to see that. I would love to see something like
fight
that.
Ninja.
Sure, yeah.
The ninja.
Turtle.
He should go to Gotham City and fight Batman in a real
They already had that.
No, that was a fan film. Fuck that.
Yeah, that was a badass fan film.
It was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
And again, they used the original music, which made it better. They did.
They did.
I don't know how the fuck they afforded all those costumes. I was like, Jesus Christ. They had the real Predator suits in like ones you never seen before. I was like,
Yeah.
how did they pull this off? Like, where did they get the funding for this? You know, I was like, oh my god, that was cool. They should go to Tatooine. Fuck yeah.
I mean, it would be nice to see like an Alien versus Predator film that didn't have such super fuck continuity to it.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. That would be kind of nice, I suppose.
Well, I'm just sick of these movies where it's like you got the aliens and the predators and the humans that are there just like just running the whole time.
Yeah, I know, right?
You know, it's like
It's
come
kind
on,
of
man.
like Freddy versus Jason, you know?
Yeah,
And you got
and
the
the
fucking
kids are there.
As fuck awful as that movie is, I still quite enjoy the shit out of it for so many weird reasons. It's
That's
just such
why-
a funny movie.
That's why when it comes to like what is it, Jurassic Park 3, when I went to go see it in
Yeah.
the theater, I was like, I told my friends, I was like, dude, all I want to see is dinosaurs chasing people. That's it, and that's all you got in that movie. Just like,
Oh yeah. And then
It
there's the
wasn't that
whole
bad.
the whole Alan bit, which
Yeah.
apparently people really hate, but it's like it's just a fucking dream sequence.
Oh, with the I love
The
that.
Velociraptor.
Alan.
That was so funny. But no, I like 3. I actually think Jurassic Park 3 is quite underrated. No, it's nowhere near as good as the first one. And I think
Yeah.
honestly, I'm kind of a weirdo. I actually almost kind of prefer the Lost World to the first one.
Lost
weirdly.
World's good.
Oh.
But
Yeah,
the
it was
funny thing
alright.
is like, okay, I keep forgetting which island they never go back to, but it's like
Sorna.
Isla Sorna and Isla Nublar.
Sorna's the one they never go to, and it's the one time they went to. It was 3.
Yeah, they went back to the original island part 3.
Hmm.
No, they went to Sorna. They went to Nublar in 2. They went to Sorna in 3.
What? Which
Yeah.
is the original?
Nublar.
What about Sorna?
Sorna is the one from 3, and that's the other island. That I think they called it Site B.
Mhm.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. And I want to have them answered immediately.
Okay, so then there's this. Okay, so this guy said, so all the bozos are arguing or believing that the bat knife emblem was made from Joe Chill's gun. Sorry, not sorry. So this is the costume designer, and he
Ooh.
admits it's not Joe Chill's gun. Okay, let's listen to this real quick. Here we go. Nope.
But I'm sorry, that's not where we came from on this. But I like the gun idea, but it's not what we were.
That symbol was very utilitarian. Could we just take it out of the chest?
A lot of the talk online was that it was Joe Chill's gun. But I'm sorry, that's not where we came from on this. But I like the gun idea, but it's not what we were.
Okay.
So there you go. It's not Joe Chill's
Not
gun.
the
It's
gun.
not-
but-
It's not a gun at all. It's just that's just how it looks.
yeah.
You know, I saw that a while ago, so seeing Mike share that, I'm like, yeah, that's nice. You're just kind of stirring a pot there, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had never seen it, so thank you, Mike. But no, it's,
Yeah, sorry, Mike. Fuck you. I don't care.
Fuck you. But yeah, so in case you guys wanted to know, it's not Joe Chill's gun. It's just the Batarang.
Yeah, that's all
Yeah.
it really is. Just a batarang, which is weird because in Andrea Sorrento and Mattson Tomlin's Batman story, the 3-issue miniseries, The Imposter, which is lightly inspired by the Batman, he actually has like this almost Naruto style shuriken that has like a almost a bat wing kind of curve to it that I feel like would absolutely fit better than that. Not to say that that's not a batarang or it's not, you know, a traditional one, but I honestly was kind of expecting that. But, you know,
I wasn't
whatever.
interested in the
I was
chest
surprised that he took it out and used it. I was like, what? That's where he gets it from? Like, what if he throws and he loses it? Like, oh shit.
Yeah,
got-
and like
I gotta
he
go make a
loses
new
it.
one.
It's like, okay, well now you have a cavity.
Yeah. I got the bad cavity.
The back cavity.
You gotta get that
Take the
drilled
back
out.
cavity back to the back cave.
Go see a bat dentist.
I mean, it is canon for like the gun
Cannon.
to be molded, into the bat symbol that he wore on his chest or under it, his bat symbol, I think.
Well, it's funny because they never announced that that's what it was, but fans were like, "Oh,
no,
look at it!"
that's in the comics.
I know, but when it came to this suit, they were like, "Oh,
Oh.
that's it, that's the gun," but it wasn't.
Well, that's because everybody was like looking at it. Okay,
It
they
looks
were
like a
looking at
gun.
it and they were trying to say, okay, how do we fucking justify this thing? Because it doesn't look like, it didn't have the bat ears on it. Why does it look so weird? And so a lot of people were like, yeah, no, it's the gun. And that's why they, and all that and whatever. And I remember having conversations with people about this when it was, announced or coming out, or, you had images or whatever. And that was sort of the talk at the time. But yeah, I mean, I never really was on board with it. I don't care. I mean, it's there, it's its thing. I prefer an actual fucking emblem on his chest. It doesn't need to have like fucking dual purpose or whatever. I mean, the fact that it does is interesting and cool, but I mean, I don't mind it. Like, I don't like the Batman Begins shit. That's fucking awesome. Like, it didn't need to have any sort of functionality. Like, it's kind of like fucking Superman in Superman 2 when he pulls off his fucking S and throws it onto Nom, and it's like, okay, you didn't really have to have that. Yeah, it's like, whoa.
He's like, oh, I'm nice and warm now.
They're like, that's where they got it from. They're like, oh, let's do that before Batman.
I always thought that was weird. He takes it off, he throws it, and it just gets hella big.
It was funny. I never liked it when I was a kid, so I was like, that's weird.
It was weird. I never understood that either. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Guillermo, I can't even say
what?
Guillermo del Toro says he didn't watch Pacific Rim 2 because that's like watching home movies of your ex-wife. It is terrible if they're good and worse if they're bad, or the opposite. You don't want to know. Now, obviously, he's talking about because he did not direct Pacific Rim 2. The studio didn't save his sound stages, and
no. They didn't get they didn't reserve them, so they lost the ability to use the sound stage.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Yeah.
But it's too bad too because the first one was really good, the one that he did. The second one, it was just all right. Did you guys see part 2?
Did not.
No.
I've only seen the first one from Guillermo del Toro. I have not seen Uprising, even though I think Stephen DeKnight did the second one. Did he not?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a horrible movie, but like it was all right. But it wasn't as cool as this one. I thought this was a lot better. And so that's some Guillermo del Toro news. And here's some more news about him. He says that he confirms that his canceled Star Wars movie was about the rise and fall of Jabba the Hutt. I would assume it's going to be a very slow-paced movie, but he says it's not my property, it's not my money, and it's one of those 30 screenplays that goes away. So,
yeah, that's the thing. That's how they keep employed. They keep writing treatments and shit like that, and that's how they get their money. That's how the fucking thing happens. That's how it works.
How it happens. Would you have wanted to see a Jabba the Hutt movie?
No. Not particularly. I mean, even if it was from Guillermo del Toro, I don't think that character was popular enough or even has like that kind of clout to warrant a solo film. I mean, the debate...
They did try to give him clout, in the original trilogy. They tried to like make it to where he's like, "Oh, Jabba the Hutt, motherfucker,"
Right. But it's like, he doesn't have that same kind of gravity that say Solo, Obi-Wan, even Boba Fett have. You know what I mean?
He cannot wield a lightsaber, so it's a little bit.
And he's not even badass. He's just this giant fucking slug creature who runs Tatooine.
Yeah.
Hoo-ha.
The Hutts are gangsters.
Sure.
I remember when we saw the Phantom Menace when I saw it the first time.
Yeah.
When you saw Jabba's wife or whoever, the female Hutt, I was like, oh look, he's got a fucking woman, and then you never saw her again. You're like, she must have been dead by the time they got to Return of the Jedi.
She ate herself to death.
To death. Locked in his limo. Stupid. It's so stupid. Okay.
Jabba's gonna order out.
Speaking of Jabba the Hutt, now I want you guys to watch this. I thought it was hilarious.
I've seen this. Yeah.
Yes. Have you seen this, Phil? Awesome. All right, here we go.
Can't stand his wife though. Go ahead.
Il est parti où, papa?
Fuck was that?
It's
That's
just
awesome.
that one
He found
scene
the
from
location
Gladiator.
of where they shot that. That's fucking awesome. I love that.
I was like, yes. When I saw it, I was like, absolutely. I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, dude, I'm out of the car immediately.
I love the way you ran though. That's hilarious.
Yeah, just
That was
full
the-
sprint.
Yeah, the way the car comes to a burning stop and he just gets out and just fucking bolts it. Yeah, that was funny.
I thought it was great. All right, let's move on. James Gunn says he's ready to announce more casting for Superman Legacy once the strike ends with a fair deal for the actors. Well, the strike's over now. It looks like we're about to get some more announcements. Are you guys excited?
I'm just
Actor strike's not done, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who else he has cast.
I just like the title is like, hey, he's gonna doing more casting announcements after the strike's over. Like, no fucking shit.
No shit.
Right, no shit.
Like, come on, dude. Are y'all struggling that bad for fucking headlines and shit? Come on.
Of course
Yeah.
they are.
You know what this
fucking
is, you
stupid.
guys? You know what it is? It's this.
This is bullshit.
I agree.
Grade A. Grade A. bullshit.
Grade fucking A bullshit.
There. Oh, good.
Rebel Moon director's cuts were planned this time rather than an afterthought, says Deborah Snyder. There'll probably be 45 minutes to an hour longer each one. You get more character. It's not just a few deleted scenes. So it's actually made. They actually made a longer version of this movie. I mean, look, there's a lot riding on this. Like I said earlier, I think it's gonna be really good. But if it's not, it's gonna hit the Snyders probably pretty hard. But then again, they might not even give a shit. Like, fuck
It
you, I
doesn't
don't
matter.
care.
It doesn't matter.
They got paid, you know.
Well, number one, he's got paid, and number two, they're not gonna the only thing that they'll do is he will be able to release his sequel if it's not good. He'll be able to release a sequel. They won't go over the option for doing spin-offs and whatever else. But he'll probably be able to make another film with them. It probably won't be as high budget, of course. But yeah, I mean, he's not gonna look. He got to put this out there, and that's pretty much. I mean, that's it right there. That's all. I mean, he put it out for consumption, and it it depends on how it rides when it's when all is said and done, dust settles. Is this something that people like gravitate toward, or is it something that people are just like, you know what, it's not my bag?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see the longer cut of the film, the director's cut, the more adult version of it. Phil, what do you think?
I think that anyone bitching about an extended cut needs to take that same energy and give it to any other director who's done a director's cut that is not Zack Snyder. Just on the whole, I'm actually with you. I'm looking forward to seeing both cuts, but I'm very obviously a little more excited to see the R-rated cuts. Because that's obviously geared more towards the likes of us.
Exactly. So, guys, let's talk about the main topic here, which is Ahsoka. Now, Ahsoka just ended. I thought it was a great show. I really enjoyed it. For me, at least, I felt like Ahsoka, this was the first time that I really felt like I was watching real Star Wars. Like, really good writing. Everything about it, it felt like they took more time and care with this story and with these characters. Let's start with Phil. Phil, what did you think about Ahsoka, and where does this leave us in terms of Star Wars universe? Did Ahsoka save Star Wars?
I've actually been kind of contemplating this since I saw that your thumbnail for the stream and what the topic was presented as. And, I listened to another podcast earlier today. A good friend of mine, a couple good friends of mine actually just relaunched their show called Imperial Scum. They were going over how Star Wars impacted them, and they're kind of more in line with Ryan, not necessarily more in line with Ryan, but, they kind of align themselves in Ryan's camp in that, the original trilogy had a massive impact on them. And if you look at the other trilogies and just other Star Wars content in general, and how each era kind of impacts other generations in different ways, I think Ahsoka really nailed a lot of things in a very broad perspective and really captured a lot of the general Star Wars fans, and more so a lot of Star Wars fans. I mean, obviously, there is that side of Star Wars fandom, the fandom menace. It's just gonna fucking hate on anything, no matter what, because it's either
it does
Disney
matter,
era
yeah.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But broadly speaking, I think Ahsoka gets to a lot more people than, say, something like Andor, which is very serious, very grounded, very on the boots, very Empire, very war centric. And you have a lot of people who really lean towards that. Then you look at something like The Mandalorian, which kind of touches on certain aspects of certain other different kinds of corners that you don't necessarily see a lot in Star Wars, like the whole underworld, the bounty hunters, the Mandalorian culture itself. Because obviously, I've said on other shows, like Mandalorian is like superbly my bag, because I love the Mandalorian culture. And then you look at something like, say, Obi-Wan, which definitely gets a lot of prequel fans right in the feels, because it's very, very heavily tied to that, but it also kind of bridges to the original trilogy in a lot of ways too, because you have, the story centered around young Leia, and obviously, you get those little ties to Luke Skywalker. You see a stronger bridge between where Obi-Wan is at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and how you can see, the transition from, say, Ewan McGregor to becoming that Alec Guinness type of Obi-Wan. And again, when I look at Ahsoka, I'm just like, this is literally, you could pick and choose which era of fandom can be pleased by a certain aspect. You have the very concept of Ahsoka picking up like right after Return of the Jedi, but also having those ties to Clone Wars, and being the herself being the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. You're literally killing two birds with one stone there, because a lot of a lot of OG fans that I know really did love Clone Wars, and that really helped them find a lot of love for the prequel trilogy that, say, they didn't quite have when the prequel trilogy was being presented in theaters at the time. And then, for people who didn't really like the sequel trilogy, this is very much like, oh, well, this is exactly what I wanted from the sequel trilogy. I read Stephen Colbert's article regarding how, he feels that, the sequel trilogy kind of really dropped the ball in terms of an overarching story, in terms of, how the sequel trilogy presented it. Whereas Ahsoka really gives you more of like a very much quicker aftermath of, like, in wake of Palpatine, the late death of Vader, and like how, Ahsoka can still factor into all of this, and you don't necessarily have to try and find yourself to be invested in new characters like Rey, like Kylo Ren. Because I think Ryan and I were even talking about this on the Four Nerds last week, how, basically, if you look at those characters, as much as I do love them, they are kind of cherry picked from Jason and Jaina Solo in certain respects. And that, I think, was, it was going to, you're either going to hurt or heal a lot of people in that regard. I mean, it's no question about it. I like Kylo Ren quite a fair bit. I liked his story, and I liked what they did with him, but it's also very easy to see that they basically gave him the Darth Vader story over again in the sequel trilogy. And I'm not sure that was the strongest creative choice that they could have done in the sequel trilogy. And honestly, I think one of the most valid criticisms of the sequel trilogy is the one that comes up the most, in that they did not hammer down a strong beat. Like, this beat happens in this new movie, this beat happens in this movie, this beat happens in this movie. They took the concept of, well, we're just going to do what George did and get 3 different directors for each different movie. And it's like, okay, yeah, that's a great idea, but you guys aren't dealing with it on the same level that George did. George had the novelty of time, and the fact that Hollywood was not the fucking IP machine that it is now, right? Like, he got the luxury of being able to tell the story that he wanted to tell, and that's just it. They didn't know what kind of story they wanted to tell with the sequel trilogy. They just wanted to make a sequel trilogy of Star Wars movies. And it's like, okay, it's like it's a pick and pull, man. It's really, really tough. But I think it's really tough, because, like, there are a lot of really great things in Ahsoka. And I think, like, even the character of like Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, they give you very like Darth Maul-ish kind of vibes, in that, oh, okay, here's a brand new antagonist that we have very little knowledge of, but they are very imposing, they're very powerful. What is their purpose? What is their end game? And with Darth Maul, that got cut short, no pun intended, with the Phantom Menace. But then we got that redemption through Clone Wars and Rebels, character specifically. In the case of Baylan and Shin, I don't necessarily know that it's gonna be that same deal, because obviously, the elephant in the room, Ray Stevenson, bless his heart, rest in peace. He's no longer here. And the way the show ends clearly sets him up for more. So now
Yeah, I know.
they're in a position where
That sucked.
they're in a similar position where they were right before they had to make episode 9. And that's going to be the tough part for them, I think. But also
they're going to use unused footage of Ray.
that would not be a smart decision if you ask me personally.
No, they're going to, I think they're going to recast.
I also think that Dave Filoni is a big fan of the prequels, and I think there is a lot of prequel blood flow through Ahsoka done in a very tasteful way. Like you can, and obviously he's also a huge fan of old samurai flicks because a lot of the fights in Ahsoka are very heavily inspired by old action films and old samurai films and stuff like that. Just to kind of sum it up, though, I do think that Ahsoka scratched an itch that longtime fans and newcoming fans have wanted since Disney has taken over Star Wars. Sorry, I know that was super long-winded.
No, it was great. That was great.
No, yeah.
I think that, it's, yeah, I mean, I agree that with the sequel trilogy that it didn't have enough structure. Once they acquired the rights, it was like the fucking same day they signed that contract, they were like, we're going to make 3 more movies, guys. 3 more movies. Here it comes. You know what I mean? Instead of saying, okay, now that we have this, let's sit down. Let's get somebody who's going to be running Star Wars. Let's put together a universe of how we're going to tell these stories moving forward.
And then to take it a step further, after The Force Awakens did what it did at the box office, they were like, okay, let's just make more fucking movies. And then they greenlit Rogue One, and they greenlit Rogue One prior to Force Awakens. So I guess that's not really fair. But once Force Awakens was well enough into production, they were like, okay, yeah, let's start doing side stories. That might have not been the smartest move immediately into the sequel trilogy, because obviously Rogue One did gangbusters, but Solo fucking flopped hard after The Last Jedi.
Well, but at the same time, that with Solo, it wasn't a bad movie, but the problem was that it was a story that nobody was really asking for.
Yeah,
and I think that
they also had a Yoda project.
They had a
And
Yoda
a Boba Fett project.
But imagine if they did that instead. Imagine if they moved forward with the Boba Fett project instead of Solo. I think that would have done better because people wanted to see more about the character of Boba Fett.
Yeah,
by the time we got the show, it was kind of like it kind of lacked a little bit.
Well, it did because all the really good ideas went to Mandalorian.
Well, because the Mandalorian had already stolen the show. By the time
it was before that.
No, I know, not.
Yeah.
I'm saying in general, like by the time you got to Boba Fett, it was like, well, we've already seen the Mandalorian. What more could you possibly add? And so
they had Tamora Morrison, but they had no story left.
Well, the flashbacks to show how he got out of the
Sarlacc pit.
Is it? The Sarlacc pit, and how the Tusken Raiders found him, and all that. Like that was all
very
really cool.
interesting.
That was the best part. I mean, to me, that was the best storyline in the show, was his backstory on how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. In fact, I mean, there was some gripes about it as well. I mean, like I know Ryan and I were talking about how there was a stormtrooper, but he wasn't a sand trooper. He was just a regular stormtrooper. It was like, well, how did he get there? Whatever. But I like how it showed
the Star Destroyer.
But I like how it showed him in there. I like how it showed him getting out of the Sarlacc pit and all that. That was really cool. But the storyline the present storyline of him
becoming a damn you,
being a damn you, that stuff. It just, I don't know. It worked for some people.
It was out of.
It worked for some. It didn't work for me, unfortunately. I
would have preferred that he would have done what he did at the end of Mandalorian when they did that little that little shot where he sort of became Jabba the Hutt. Bib Fortuna, when he killed Bib Fortuna, I was like, oh shit, he's gonna be the new fucking boss, right? He's going to be the new fucking, mob guy, that everybody's, he's going to train up some guys and like, train them on how to bounty hunt and shit like that. And like, he's going to have his own little crew or some shit, or, he's going to amass some heavy hitters and shit. And instead it was like, I'm going to do right by these people. I'm going to rule with respect, and I'm gonna run around with some children on speeder bikes.
The biker gang was horrible. I don't care. I thought that was so bad. What are you doing?
I laughed with my son because it reminded me of the old Happy Days when they fucking jumped the shark. I was like, oh, he's gonna ride the Rancor, and that's what exactly he did. And I was like, this is kind of dumb.
And then like the bikes they had were like super bright and colorful. It
Well,
was
they
like-
had this guy come out. There's two guys actually come out, and they recut Boba Fett. They also recut Obi-Wan, but they desaturated the bikes, and it didn't look as jarring, you know,
looked
because
more
it looked
dirty
like
than it did clean.
1950s colors and shit.
yeah,
It didn't look like as clean as it was. I'm sure it
They
probably
were
looked
way
a little bit
too
more
clean.
dirty.
Because with Star Wars, minus the prequels, like it's a dirty, dingy universe. Like
especially
used-
Tatooine.
Yeah,
Especially
Tatooine. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Is that like that's like the wasteland place. Like
Yeah.
all the shit there is fucking used and beaten down and all this. And these guys have pristine like bikes, but they
Like-
don't even
like this.
that look.
Fine.
Those are great.
Loved
Those
it.
are great
Loved it.
bikes.
Yeah, speeders. They're dirty. They're in a fucking desert. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I was like, yeah, that works. But then when you go to, I don't know, like these guys, like, what is that?
Yes. Like, those look like shit that you would find at a fucking amusement park that kind of go around in a circle and they have that, they're on the track. Because I mean, look at it. It looks like fucking what do you call them? Like
Honestly,
not sewing machines, but irons.
Okay, so
flat irons.
Yeah,
I don't know how familiar you guys are with Power Rangers, but
yes,
in a few
I'm wearing a Power Ranger shirt, so yeah. I'm very
okay. I didn't even see that. Okay, so you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So
in that case,
in Power Rangers in space, each ranger had their own like space
that.
bike, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what this looks like.
You know
Power
what I
Ranger
mean?
space
It's
bikes.
like, why are we, at what point did the producers go, that's great, we love it, look at all the lights and the mirrors?
Now, one
Yeah.
can make the debate like, oh yeah, they ripped off a ton of people, and that's how they're able to afford such nice things. But at the same time, again,
No,
like, where are they going to find such nice looking speed bikes in Tatooine?
Yeah.
No, Freetown.
That was another one. That was
This here's Freetown. Things like that, kind of like that's the best you can come up with. Like you couldn't come up with a name that fits
Yeah.
Tatooine. You know what I mean? Like we're known now as Mos something, whatever. Like and
There's
he
Mos
could ask
Espa,
like
Mos Eisley, and there's one
there's
more.
it could have been
Anchorhead.
Anchorhead, but it could have been something else, and he could have said, "What does that mean?" Like it stands for freedom, something stupid, but something has to do with the planet, not just Freetown. Like
Yeah.
what? And then, like, yeah, at the end, we all knew he was going to ride the Rancor. And honestly, the Rancor going against all those weapons and blasters, in real life, he probably would have got fucking shot down really quick because it's a living
Yeah.
creature. Like, but still, I mean, at the end of the day, we got to see the Luke Skywalker scene, which was amazing.
That was the greatest part of it.
Oh my God, that scene when it showed him training Baby Yoda, and I was like, "Holy fuck, they did it! They brought back Luke Skywalker." I was like, "This is amazing and sick at the same time."
Well, it's just like, okay, so they have these really cool things that they do with Luke. They
That they
did
do.
it with in Mandalorian.
It's
and
just
they
the
also
timing.
did it.
The timing of all this stuff just feels awkward. You know what I mean? Like we're watching a show about Boba Fett, and yet here we are. Here's
Because
Din
they
Djarin.
felt like they needed something.
Yeah.
Like it was lacking something. So they're like, okay, put this in there, and then that'll make people like the series. And it was kind of like, I don't want to say it was the exact same thing with Ahsoka, but when you put Anakin Skywalker in scenes with young Ahsoka, that to me, I was like, oh shit, no, that's what I want to see. I want to see that.
It's more
Like-
tangible because there's harder ties there. You know what I mean? Whereas with like, the whole Luke Skywalker bit being in Boba Fett, like, yeah, Luke Skywalker's in Star Wars, but at the same time, I feel like had they done something more Boba Fett centric, it probably would have landed better with fans like you guys and us. You know what
I
I mean?
agree. And that's why I think they, then by them changing the character, they're like, oh God, he's just another bounty hunter. Just like Din Djarin. He's
I mean, imagine if they did this. Like they use a real Mark Hamill. I mean, this is how they filmed it, but then they fixed, they de-aged him and changed his face. But do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
What?
Yes, I do.
You guys got real quiet. I'm like, what?
well, we're talking about Boba Fett, and then Luke Skywalker pops
this
up.
was in Boba Fett.
And no, that was in Last Jedi.
No, this is Boba Fett.
Yeah, well, that is over there, but this over here.
No, but right here is when he gives him the mithril.
The Mithril. That's right. Oh my god.
That's what I
I'm
thought
sorry.
when I saw
That's
it. I was like,
horrible.
this is Mithril. Gandalf gave this to me. You know, I was
Yes.
just like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's silly. They did a lot of stuff with even in Mandalorian season 3 with Grogu. I'm sorry, but like Grogu kind of outstayed his welcome for me.
He did.
And
Yes, he
like
did.
his story with Din Djarin should have ended with giving him over to Luke, and just let him do his or you know with Ahsoka or whatever. Let them do their thing, right? And then let Din Djarin go back to finding like go back to fucking Mandalore. You know, go do all this other you know, have these crazy ass adventures. You don't need to have the kid anymore, right? It's yeah.
I think they brought them back together a little too quickly.
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
like God, what was it like? I didn't even have a chance to miss you, you know.
I know. It was like, you know what? Now you're getting annoying because it was his story of going with Luke was so badass, and I was like, yes,
I
that's
dug
such
it.
a
I was
great,
like, oh,
great
sweet.
way of doing it.
So my mind's like, oh wow, I wonder how Grogu died. Get the fuck out of here. I wonder how fucking Grogu died, you know, when fucking Kylo, or not Kylo, I guess at that time,
Kylo.
when Kylo
Yeah.
fucking destroyed the whole thing. And I was like, wow, you know, Kylo's responsible for that. But no, it's not.
He's not.
He's not.
And so, and honestly, you would have had a window there to say, hey, look, in the sequels that come after the prequel trilogy, you can reintroduce Grogu because now you can say that, you know, that he wasn't there when he died, or he got away, or he escaped, and his character returns. But I thought leaving him with Luke was the best thing for the character. But then they were like, well, hold on a minute. This is a very popular character. It's making us a lot of money. Let's just go ahead and bring him back. And then it was like, wait, when you watch season 3, you're like, I don't know. For me, at least, I kind of felt like
when they put him in the IG unit, I was like, I'm fucking done.
Well, here's the thing. That I mean, look, it is what it is. It was cute, whatever. But the thing I didn't like was that after a while, like you said, he kind of overstayed his welcome. When you were just kind of like, okay, I'm kind of over this relationship. Like, I want to go back to just Din Djarin being a bounty hunter and or just trying to you know, help, you know, Mandalore and the Mandalorians, and to be more brutal, you know, more rough, more westernish.
I mean, you could take it in all kinds of different directions, you know, as far as like where you could go with the story and you know, where you can take the character and what situations you can put him in. But having Grogu there, it's just like, okay, hey, don't forget.
Okay.
He's there.
Right. Okay. Now we talked about that. Okay. There's some of the things that we didn't like about it, but when it comes to Ahsoka, Ryan, do you think that Ahsoka did a better job at stay on target? Like, do you think it stayed on target better in terms of like its storyline? I felt like it had better writing. I felt like they took better care of the characters in terms of their progression.
Yeah.
And I think overall it was a better story.
Leading
in
the witness.
Ahsoka.
I think that
honestly,
because...
like just real quick, like had IG-11 been voiced by anybody else, I probably would have been totally fine with it. But I just do not like Taika Waititi.
Oh, fuck Taika. You know what? Jeez, he sucks. And I didn't like his episodes of Mandalorian.
Honestly, like the first 5 minutes of the final episode of season 1, I could have completely done without the whole stormtroopers punching Grogu. I thought that was fucking dumb. But other than that, I think like the strongest thing he's ever directed.
I love those guys.
Episode.
I love those guys.
I love those helmets. I actually really like those helmets opposite the other stormtrooper helmets. Weirdly enough, I don't know why. I just you know what?
Punched him.
When I was young, like I used to get a bunch of like Star Wars Legos. Like that was totally my bag when I was a kid. If I could get Star Wars Legos, that was absolutely one of the favorite things I used to play with when I was a kid. And one of my favorite sets I had. Yeah. One of my favorite sets was Luke and Leia from Return of the Jedi. Yeah, the speeder bike fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. I had a Lego set of that.
Dude, after we got done watching Return of the Jedi in theaters, man, you know, we got home, we jumped on our bikes, and we were riding around like we were in the, you know, the forest.
I mean, it was so cool.
California.
I see it. Wait,
Leia. Yeah. Dude, I'm sorry, but that is one of the best speeding chases.
Oh, it's so good. And no music, just sound effects.
Yes. Dude, it really good stuff.
And it's
really
not
good
quite
stuff, man.
one of my other favorite like speeder bike sequences is it's not quite in it's in that ballpark, but it doesn't quite reach the level
Book of Boba Fett.
Return of the Jedi. No, Attack of the Clones, when Anakin is riding through Tatooine to save his mom from the Tusken Raiders,
and
I
Duel of the
actually
Fates
really
is playing.
Yes.
Oh, such a badass scene.
Yes.
And
Like,
we were just talking about how Duel of Fates is one of the only songs that's used in all three
Reoccurring,
movies.
yeah.
Reoccurring in all three movies.
Yep. I agree. Yeah. And that's honestly one of my favorite tracks of all time from Star Wars. Like that is probably without question my favorite.
And again, not to knock on the sequel trilogy, but I will.
As always.
The sequel trilogy has no memorable music from John Williams. I cannot hum.
I can think of one for me, but to your point, I don't really hear anyone else talking about it. It's the Octo theme from the island that Luke was on. This is the only one I think that really kind of stands out from the entirety of the trilogy. Dun 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 dun. Well, that's also Rey's theme, but like the whole Octo theme is
Octo,
like
baby.
The scene that sticks out the most in my mind, and it's not even it's not a new track, and it's probably, I don't know. I mean, like The Force Awakens is my favorite of the sequel trilogy, and my favorite scene within the entire sequel trilogy is when the camera first pans onto the Millennium Falcon, and you get a little
yeah. Well, it's again tugging at that nostalgia, but with the prequels, like you that shit was so fucking iconic. But when you get to the prequels, it's like it's lackluster. I mean, just the same. Okay, you have the Imperial March from the original trilogy, the dun 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 dun, and then you've got the march from Episode 1, where it's you're right, and you don't have that. Where is a march in the sequel trilogy? Where is it?
Well, I mean, Kylo Ren had his theme. I can't remember it exactly, but I mean, it wasn't so bad. I'm telling you.
Dun, dun, no, it's not. That's not it. It goes like dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. No, that's
it goes
Mario.
Something like that.
But
no,
what I mean, I'm getting at is with the prequels, is like John Williams did score it, but again, like his heart wasn't in that shit. Nobody's heart was in that shit. That's what the sequel trilogy is missing.
I wouldn't say that. I think
no, his heart wasn't in it, dude. It was not, dude. Like dun, 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 dun,
oh, beautiful.
Dun, dun. You don't have that in the sequel trilogy
because the story wasn't powerful enough. By the time like in Empire Strikes Back, like the ending of Empire, when they're standing in the med bay looking out. Yeah,
I mean, that's
but at the end of Empire, when they're standing, when Luke is standing in the med bay and he's looking out into space, and you see the Millennium Falcon take off. That whole song that plays at the very end as it backs away from. Yeah, it was just like fucking beautiful.
You don't have that in the sequel trilogy.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun,
yes,
it's like man.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
or even like the Battle of Heroes that plays over Anakin and Obi-Wan's fight in Revenge of the Sith. Like that one's, it's not quite Duel of the Fates, but it's up there.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah. No, I mean,
when Han gets turned into carbonite.
Yeah.
Like the sound of and then you just see him go like a slab of concrete on the ground. Like, oh god!
I mean, there's so much good music. Like when the prequel trilogy came out, I bought that shit on fucking CD and I listened to that shit all the time because it was so good.
Yeah, it was good.
I was hyped, and to hear it in the movies, to watch it, to play along with the live action. It's fantastic. The problem is with the sequel trilogy, like you said, the theme wasn't the story wasn't there, but the emotion wasn't there either. Like you felt nothing for any of these characters. Like if anybody died, Who really cares?
You know, leading up to Attack of the
No, they're
Clones,
losing their minds. We're singing that.
They're losing their minds.
you know, leading,
And I'm gaining all of the what was that, John Lovitz? Where he's like, he's
Yeah.
losing his mind.
Yeah.
And I'm reaping the benefits.
no, leading up to Attack of the Clones, my uncle had passed away that October, the year before Attack of the Clones had come out. So the whole family was over at my grandmother's house, and by that point, my brother and I had went to Disneyland for the first time with my mom and my dad, and we got lightsabers like as memorabilia. And what we did was my uncle Steven at the time, he took out his camcorder, and we had made like this short duel. Like it was me holding my blue lightsaber against my older cousin Jeremy, who had my brother's lightsaber. And then when everything was all said and done, my uncle Steven took that footage and then slapped Duel of the Fates over it. And it was like a mini Star Wars movie for our family. And it was just like one of those, that's number one of the reasons why I love filmmaking so much, because I did that at such a young age. But number two, like that feeling of, like, as you mentioned, Ryan, like when you got out of Return of the Jedi and you riding your bike around, like that is the kind of feel that Star Wars invokes.
Yeah.
That's the kind of feeling that Star Wars
and
invokes.
It should, because it's action adventure, you know, mixed with a little bit of Western and a little bit of, you know, Asian influence, like, you know, using Aikido, I think is what they use for their fighting style.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's just going back to the original question that he posed, did Ahsoka save Star Wars? I don't think it saved it. I think that it definitely added something positive to it so that people aren't losing their faith.
It reignited a flame, I would say.
And what this company can or has potential to do. And I think that's pretty much all it did. Because it wasn't a flawless, you know, season or anything like that. But it was intriguing. It was interesting. It captured my attention. And it did have that because of Filoni. It's only because of Filoni that it captured what Star Wars kind of is, because, you know, Filoni is the one that George really kind of laid into, because he was in charge of the Clone Wars.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I mean, you know, and that's the reason why you have Cad Bane in you know, as another fan favorite in the Boba Fett show. Even though the Boba Fett series sucked, it still had, you know, all of these shows have a moment or have a character that kind of shows up. It's like,
I mean, there were things I liked about it, but overall, I thought it could have been better.
Like
it could have been way better.
Like comparatively, if you look at some of the antagonists in some of these other shows, like, you know, you've got the Inquisitors and Darth Vader and Obi-Wan. Obviously, you've got Thrawn and Ahsoka. You look at Book of Boba Fett, they don't really touch on a main antagonist too much. You only get a little bit of Cad Bane right there towards the end. I feel like had they done a little bit more with Cad Bane, like, don't even maybe bother. And this is kind of boiling down to, you know, they didn't do what we wanted them to do or could have done, whatever. But like, I feel like had they done something more with Cad Bane, that probably would have went over better with a lot of fans who wanted something like that from Book of Boba Fett. Like, focus on a threat to Boba that is actually meaningful to his character from, you know, Star Wars canon as we know it.
Well, everyone wants to see the struggle, the arc, and the overcoming of the struggle.
Yes.
And that's what people have, you know, that's what I have an issue with Rey in the sequel trilogy. That's where I have a problem with the Boba Fett show. He had no real antagonist or no real problem to solve, other than like they need a daimyo because these, you know, these ruffians outside are, you know, causing problems or whatever.
And the Hutt twins are now taking over, and it's like we didn't even really get to see them at all.
No.
Yeah, it's like they came up to the fucking door.
They carried them on that platform.
Yeah,
the fucking door, and they just to deliver some fucking
and they left.
Cheap ass message and left. I was like, don't y'all have fucking holograms that you can send? Like I'm sorry, but Disney doesn't know how to Star Wars. Like they
do and they don't.
They do and they don't. Okay, they do and they don't. They get some shit right, but some other shit, like just like I was saying on the show last week, you know, on the 4 show, if you catch it on Wednesdays now, is that, you know, fucking what's his name, the little kid that they found, I forget his name, fucking Dez, or what the fuck is that guy's name? The Jedi guy that they were trying to find.
Ezra.
Ezra. Oh, Ezra
Come
Miller. There you go.
on, man.
Anyway, when he had, when he, number one, a homegirl should never have been able to like, force push him onto the Star
That
Destroyer.
was too
She
soon.
just
That was
she
too
just
soon.
learned how to pull this
Yeah.
the saber to her. That's
yeah.
like even nobody could have done what she did. I was like, no, dude, you don't have any training. You're just
That was
learning
too
how to
soon.
tap
That part was
into.
too soon.
But anyway, so he gets on the Star Destroyer. All he does is steal a fucking a shuttle and leave, and take a stormtrooper's outfit. Then he goes and he goes to a rebel ship with no clearance, gets on, and then and walks off the fucking platform, and then he finally takes off and reveals who the fuck he is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa,
I
you
can
guys
understand
didn't
that
do this right.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's no like you showed us in the very first episode that obviously if you want to get on a rebel ship, you need some sort of clearance. And then
Right.
here at the end of the episode, you show just Ezra walking up willy-nilly in a stormtrooper outfit. It's like,
But not only that, the thing that afterwards I was kind of like, wait a minute. I'm like, so you're telling me that he got on the ship and he wasn't like, let me try and disable the warp core. Let me try and fuck this ship over. He literally just put on the suit, hid there, and then escaped. And you're telling me the fucking Night Sisters weren't like, there's a Jedi on board.
Yeah.
When
I
earlier they were
sense
like,
the presence of the
I
light
sense
side.
a Jedi. I sense
Yeah.
a Jedi flying
There's-
through space coming down.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, wait a minute. They can't fucking feel him in the ship, but they can feel Ahsoka out in space in a fucking starship inside of a fucking whale's mouth.
It's
I
a
was like,
little-
there's no way.
it's
No
a little clunky
way.
how they showed Ezra from,
That was the only time
was
that
clunky.
in the entire show that I was like, what? And again, that's and I'll let that go because the rest of it was so good. But the problem that I have is that little bit of like, what? I got too much of that in like the Book of Boba Fett,
Sure.
in the Mandalorian season 3. I got too
Yeah.
much of the wait, what? Huh? The Lizzo, Jack Black, huh? What? You know what I mean? Christopher Lloyd,
Christopher-
what?
yeah,
What's he
Christopher
doing
Lloyd.
here? Just
It's
some
like
of
the flux
storytelling-
capacitor must have come
Some-
off the galaxy.
Some of the storytelling was just a little bit lazy. And I will say at the end, that was a little bit lazy, but he needed to, Ezra was going to reconnect with Hera and
one way or
the
the
New
other, yeah.
Republic anyway. So I was kind of like, okay, I get it. Like he's there and he's back with them. Let's go.
Yeah, but
Now,
with
if they get
could
a
have done-
second-
they could have
if-
done it better.
If they get
They
a second
could have.
season, they probably could go over it if they want. to. Like,
There it is.
These poor saps. Out
This
in the
reminded
fucking
me
heat.
of like 300.
a little bit. Yeah, I can see the influence
But
there.
look at
yeah.
look at around them. Like there isn't a city for fucking miles.
These poor guys.
And they're like, oh fuck, it's so hot. And why are you wearing pants? These two fat slugs,
Yeah.
And
And,
they
not
have
only
water.
do they have to balance them, they have to balance the fucking the hookah pipe and all that shit.
Oh yeah, I didn't even. Yeah, I
Hookah
forgot there's a hookah pipe there. Wow.
Hookah pipe.
Like, I sure hope this doesn't fall on me. It'll be hella hot.
Well, it's not a traditional hookah pipe; it's a hut pipe.
Maybe
That's
it's
true,
bolted
that's true.
down. Maybe it's bolted down to
but
the
I do
platform.
believe
Might
they
be.
are smoking apple arguile.
This would have made more sense if
Blueberry
it was
limeade.
a
Oh,
hovering
there you go.
platform. Don't you think? If it was a hovering platform and they were
Well,
guards
yes,
with
yes,
weapons,
yes, no,
that would
that
have made
as
more
well.
sense.
That as well. All you had to do was just have, like what, 4 guys or whatever, and they just kind of like they're holding a, like a directional kind of thing, and it's hovering. That would have been like, oh, okay, no, it's fucking Star Wars. I get that. That's cool.
Well,
and like
that's
maybe
true.
even had like 1 or 2 people that have like fucking umbrellas or leaves, or some shit to fuck for shade, or like whatever, just anything. Yeah, these motherfuckers
They all
have
have broken backs. Their shoulders are fucked. Yeah, and it's what Axel is saying. Danny Trejo and the fucking Rancor are like 20 feet away, just standing there, like, oh shit, when did you get here? You know what I mean? Ah!
Yeah,
It was like, man, what's going on? The shit like that is what I'm talking about.
we brought you a present.
I don't
But
know,
obviously, it's not a surprise.
because it's so big, you
So
must have
big
noticed it by
and
now.
loud.
And loud. Okay, so
And
okay,
Danny Trejo, did you bring your machete?
Going back to Ahsoka,
Do you think it's safe Star Wars?
well, I'm asking you guys, do you think that it brought some more validity and more how do you say continuity and more of a clearer like a picture to Star Wars. Did it help Star Wars in any way, Ryan?
I think it helped fans enjoy something that haven't really been enjoying what they've been putting on Disney Plus for a while. Did it save Star Wars? I don't think it saved it. I think they still have an uphill battle. I think that there's a lot of things that they could do to, sort of, I don't want to say repair, but to help what they're doing or what they're trying to do. I do think that the connections that it had with, the Clone Wars show and episode 3 and all that, I think, I think that really does help the show. But I don't think this, like, okay, after Ahsoka, you're not going to have anyone complaining. The majority of fans are back on Star Wars. Let's go ahead. Let's just fucking greenlight the movie. Let's go. I think that that they could serve from another show to kind of come in and just sort of solidify. Because I mean, the Disney Plus shows, they've got good ideas. They've got a lot of good ideas, but the execution has not been above the 50 percentile all the time. It's like hit or miss.
But I think this show was better. I thought the story was better. I thought the effects were better. I thought everything was
better than Mandalorian episode 3 or season 3, and then better than Boba Fett. Is not asking a lot, or it's not saying a lot. Andor was good, but like like Phil has said, it's not something in his wheelhouse or whatever. So that's fine, but that's not doing anything for him. It didn't edify him or anything like that. So
if I remember correctly, I think Andor didn't get the same number of views that, say, Boba Fett or even Mandalorian did.
Well,
because it's coming off of a character that is not Ahsoka. Ahsoka's fucking like
he's not Ahsoka.
He's not Anakin.
Boba Fett.
He's not Luke. He's not and also like the character died at the end of Rogue One, so it's like we know how his story ends. So some fans are probably like, well, yeah, cool. It's almost like the same question for the Han Solo film. It's like, why? You know what I mean?
Right.
I agree, and I love the way that it opened up. I love the way that you saw more of the rebels and all that kind of stuff. And I loved every aspect of it, as far as like just kind of it did a fantastic job of world building. And for me, I think that the 3 strongest shows that it has is Mandalorian season 2, Ahsoka season 1, and Andor season 1. And I think those are the 3 that you can stand there and say, you know what, Disney did something in the positive, but everything else is just kind of like they had bits and pieces there that were really awesome, but it didn't help make the overall show awesome. Like you had the Luke Skywalker thing, but that doesn't make the Boba Fett show great. You had fucking Ahsoka, but that didn't make Mandalorian season 3 fucking great.
I think something like Tales of the Jedi added more fluff to characters that we were already very familiar with.
Oh, that's one thing I forgot. Okay, so fucking the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Jedi, the Witch, and the War, whatever the fuck. I was like, are you fucking giving me a Narnia reference?
Oh man,
the Jedi, the Witch, and
the Warlord,
the Warlord. Yeah,
and I was like, are you fucking serious with this Narnia reference?
When I saw that title, I was like, oh, that's clever. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. I see what you're doing there.
But I mean, look, we have Skeleton Crew coming out. That's the next show. That's the next show coming out, and it deals with. Next. Oh, is it? No, it's Skeleton Crew, then Acolyte.
What is Skeleton?
As far as I remember,
what is that?
Skeleton Crew. Go ahead.
I was just gonna. Do you know? You know what it is? It's so it's the one with Jude Law, and apparently he's playing a Jedi who is helping some younglings, or not, like younglings, something like that, escape. Like they're in the Outer Rim or something. I don't quite remember like the exact premise of it. But
is everyone like? Is this Order 66 again?
No, it's after. It's actually after Return of the Jedi. So it's Jude Law with a bunch of younglings who went into hiding. Then after Return of the Jedi, now they're kind of like coming back out, trying to figure out, coming back out into the world.
This is the one done by John Watson. I think he equated it to basically saying this is Goonies and Star Wars.
Which that's rough. If you're gonna,
you're gonna have some dark side character. Hey, you guys,
just
baby Ruth.
I'm already not too big on the Goonies as it is. Like the reason why. Like, I don't like that movie, not because of the
I
quality.
love that movie. Are you kidding
It's
me?
more. It's more so because my brother. Every time we went over to my other grandmother's house, he'd always want to watch that, and I just got sick of it. It just I can't watch that movie
Rocky
anymore.
Road. But look, I'm fucking tired of the whole everybody's
Okay.
evading.
So Skeleton Crew,
because what it does is
place-
it destroys. I'm sorry, it fucking destroys the whole balance of the Force shit, which they were trying to fucking. George was trying to fucking show you with the Emperor, Vader, Yoda, Luke and Obi-Wan, in that, like, you know, you lose Obi-Wan, you know, but you gain fucking Luke. You lose Yoda, you lose the Emperor, and all you have left is fucking
It's
Vader.
a middle
and,
finger.
oh yeah. Well, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing to George. And like, you know, you eliminate Vader, but you know, all you have is Luke, and Luke is the one. It's kind of like fucking what is that? Highlander. It's kind of like, you know, yeah, dude. So all of the fucking the midichlorian power or whatever should go to Luke, and then that should also raise up somebody else to sort of combat Luke, and then, you know, and then maybe he gets more younglings or whatever, and then you can build it up, you know, that way, and then somebody else should come along and destroy it. You know, unfortunately, it's called the sequel trilogy, but I hate that everybody fucking like gets away from the Order 66, like they somehow evade it all the time.
Well, I mean, they didn't get everybody, but still, the premise of Skeleton Crew is the series follows 4 kids who end up on an adventure to make their way home after being lost in the galaxy following the discovery they make on their home planet. Okay, so I was a little off on that, but anyway, so that's it right there.
You were a lot off.
That was a lot off.
Again, that's the one John Watts is doing, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's the John Watts project.
Yeah,
And then after that, it's Acolyte. Then after that, it's, I guess, the Bad Batch, and then who the fuck knows?
Now, Acolyte, that's Darth Revan.
Okay, so I was actually talking to a coworker about this. I saw a leak, potential leak, that Aaron and Bailey had shared. It may or may not be true. There was a piece of art shown of a dark side Sith user, what looked to be wearing the mask of Revan.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it is Revan outright, because Revan takes place thousands of years before where the Acolyte is on the timeline, because Acolyte...
Isn't that one guy supposed to make a movie? The Logan director?
Mangold, yeah.
Yeah, isn't he making a movie?
The birth of
the
the first Jedi, yeah. He's doing a movie centered around what is to be like either the birth of the Force or something like that. But the Acolyte takes place 100 years before Phantom Menace, and I would imagine, based on the name of it, it's probably going to be pretty Sith centric.
Okay, so the premise for the Acolyte TV series, live action, it says the Acolyte is set at the end of the High Republic era.
Yep.
Oh, God damn it. In a world of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers, approximately 100 years before Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. A former Padawan reunites with her Jedi Master to investigate a series of crimes, but the forces they confront are more sinister than they ever anticipated.
So Yoda's what, 800 years old?
He would be about 800 years old.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that ballpark, yeah. So you can almost guarantee we're probably going to see Yoda at some point in that show.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question I have about Ahsoka, and really just about Star Wars in general, is that if you move forward with like an Heir of the Empire movie, which has been rumored, right? How do you get around, like, moving forward with just the story that was told in Ahsoka? How do you continue to get around Han Solo, Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker? In my opinion, you should just recast them, like Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker. I'm just saying, somebody else for Carrie Fisher, and the guy who played Han Solo in Solo. I don't care. I don't care. At this point, you just got to roll with them. That movie came out, what, 5 years ago? I don't care. You got to go with somebody.
Luke Skywalker's older than Han. What?
I mean, if you get Sebastian Stan, is he going to look that much older than the guy who played Alden, whatever the fuck his name is? I don't know.
Sebastian Stan is like, it's like me acting alongside fucking
your son
Dawson, or my son. Yeah, the same age.
I'm just saying, like, at this point, you have to kind of recast those big three for this next
You know
era
who
that
you
you're
could
trying to tell.
recast? No.
But I'm saying, like, until you get to
It's a valid
your
question.
sequel trilogy,
It is.
you have to recast because I'm sorry, but like doing the whole,
Fake
with the
technology.
deep fakes and no, you have to have real people now. You just have to tear the Band-Aid off and go, like, hey, these are going to be the big three. Now we're going to move forward with the
But
story.
what
that
they've
takes
done
place.
with Tarkin and what they've done with Carrie Fisher in the movies, and I think they're going to continue deepfake. I think
But,
they're
I mean,
going to
could
try
you
to
do that
perfect
for an
it.
They've gotten better
entire-
with it, but
Could
Yeah,
you do
I
it
think
for a
I think
whole
I
movie?
think wait. Yeah, I think they're working on that shit. Fucking like relentless. Didn't they hired somebody after the Luke Skywalker episode? They hired somebody to come in and fucking like
and revamp it, like
revamp.
better
Yes.
job. But even this right here, like, Drug, I'm sorry, but like, if you had her play Carrie Fisher or play Princess Leia, she doesn't look enough like her. I'd be like, oh, that's cute, that's her daughter, but that's not
Yeah.
really her. I'd rather they just cast somebody who resembles, who can play the role.
They'll use the same girl they used in Rogue One.
I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do.
I think it's tough because they kind of got around it in Ahsoka by having C-3PO speak on Leia's behalf.
And that was great. I loved it. I loved it.
It was good, but I don't think you can do that same trick twice. You know what I mean? That would be like showing the Millennium Falcon but not showing Han Solo piloting it.
Dude, they're going to use
something to that
AI for the
extent.
voices.
They use they did it in Boba Fett. They did it with Luke Skywalker, right? Where they had him in a full fucking episode talking and walking around and doing shit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like, do you want to do that for an entire series or movie?
What-
I don't think. Think how
I think what they'll
expensive
do
that's
is
gonna be.
they'll take your characters, Din Djarin and Ahsoka, and that's who you follow. And then you'll kind of get bits and pieces of like Han and Leia and Luke doing something. Then they go off and do something else.
So
it's
you're
not going to be
saying-
centered around them. They're going to be supporting characters.
It's
that
also
kinda
tough.
come in and go.
It's tough, especially in Luke Skywalker's case, because if they follow a lot of the beats from Heir to the Empire, from what I recall and what I learned and read over time, then it's going to be harder because Luke does play a pretty prominent point in Heir to the Empire.
He does.
But they're going to change that shit.
Of course.
They own it now. They're going to do
Yeah.
whatever they want. They're
Right.
going to make Ahsoka's prominent.
Why
now.
would you want to do that though?
Why did they do the sequel trilogy? I don't know. I mean, because they did. They changed every fucking body. They took out Ben Skywalker. They took out fucking Jason and Jaina. They removed them. They were fucking canon. And then they were like, fuck it. We're going to do something completely different, our own thing. And I think they're going to do the exact same thing here with the Heir to the Empire rumor or whatever, or the Din Djarin movie or whatever the fuck you want to call it. With the movie that they're going to go forward with, I think they're just going to follow these characters here. And then you'll get bits and pieces of Han, Luke, and Leia played by other people, voiced by AI.
It's a tough call. Like it really is kind of a tough decision that they kind of have to figure out. And whether or not Ahsoka gets a second season before that film even happens, that is even yet to be determined.
They haven't even announced season 2 for Ahsoka, which I don't think they have to, but I think they're eventually going to, because you can't just leave that story and be like, oh well.
Right.
No, you can't.
There's like 3 different cliffhangers there, right? Because you've got Ahsoka and Sabine on Peridia, right? There's one cliffhanger. Then you've got Ezra reuniting with Hera. There's another cliffhanger. And then finally, you've got, Thrawn going to Dathomir with the Night Sisters. There's another cliffhanger. And then also you've got Balin's skull on top of that mountain, and then Shin showing up with the rest of those bandits. And it's just like you have 5 different cliffhangers there that I'm not sure that you could answer in a movie. I think if they're going to answer any of those questions, I think a second season of Ahsoka would be a viable place to do it before capping it off with another movie. But
so you have this poster here, right? And I can already tell that you want a Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa centric movie where they are the prominent characters. You're not going to. You're not going to get that.
I know, but how do you get around that?
You put Ahsoka where Carrie Fisher
So
is.
what you're
and
saying
you put Din
is
Djarin where Luke Skywalker is.
so what you're saying is basically we're going to get a DC Universe storyline where you have your Ahsoka and your Din Djarin characters, and every so often it's like Luke Skywalker saying, "Hey everybody,
Yes.
help me fight crime
Yes.
over in Tatooine. I'll meet
Yeah,
you there."
they're going to be doing their thing. They're probably going to say, "Hey, okay, so Luke Skywalker is going to start he's going to start going after new younglings or some shit because he's trying to like rebuild his order." And Leia Organa, where the fuck is she? Well, she's going back to Coruscant to fucking become the senator and shit. And so, and where's Han Solo? Well, he's struggling with a fucking kid and shit. Or I mean. Yeah, they have a newborn, whatever, and so they're going to be doing their thing. And Din Djarin and Ahsoka are going to be trying to do, where they're going to be working with them. They're going to be talking to Han and Leia over hologram, which is going to be fucking easy.
Okay. Let me ask you, Ryan. If they said, "Okay, Ryan Zeberfett, you're in charge of Star Wars," should we recast these characters or should we just CGI them?
Okay, so if they said, "Hey, I'm in charge of Star Wars," what I'm going to do is I'm going to start shooting episode 1.
No. I don't want to. I don't want to hear this.
I'm recasting everybody.
Just the one question: do you want us to continue on by recasting the big three, or just deep faking them, or just
It depends. It depends. Like, okay, it depends. If you want the big three to be the stars of the show, then they need to be recast. If you don't mind them being on the sidelines but still being there and relevant, then deepfake. Because deepfake is you're connecting to all the other things that you've already deepfaked, because your universe is kind of stuck. It's exactly what Marvel is, but in a different way. It's stuck.
Phil, if you were in charge and they said, "Hey, do you want us to recast the big three or just deep fake them," what would you do?
I would leave it up to whoever is making the movie, because that decision falls on them ultimately at the end of the day.
The hard part is that if you're making a movie during this time, it should be revolving around Han, Luke, and Leia. At least Luke and Leia, because they're Luke Skywalker's the main fucking character. But I understand where we're at right now. I understand that we're not going to get that, but you're
never going to get Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford on the same screen at this. You're never going to get that either. You wanted that. You're never going to get it.
They're never going to get it.
Never going to get it. Never
probably one of the biggest missed opportunities of the sequel trilogy is not having all three of them on the screen at the same time.
Yeah, I think
to be honest, I was fine with it. It's a big universe, and for them to be on the same screen at the same time, unless the story like really
I'm not saying I wasn't fine with it. I'm just saying that's one thing I've definitely heard people have.
I understand the great.
That's like saying Luke Skywalker, Ahsoka, and Din Djarin should be on the screen together. Like, well, they don't have to be like that. It's a big universe. When you talk about these three, they associate in the same circles. They were in 3 movies together. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it would make sense that they would reunite at one point. However, that never happened, and it is what it is. But
I feel like the last time they'd ever reunite for anything at all would have to, at the very least, be when Han and Leia drop Ben off to Luke. That, I think, to me, would be the last time you could have ever seen them on screen, or even just together before the sequel trilogy had happened. Whether or not that does happen, shit, I have no idea. Because we're coming up on that time. Ben Solo is very where the timeline is right now. If you're talking specifically Ahsoka, Ben Solo is not too far behind, because he's at least 20, somewhere between 20 and 30 by the time the sequel trilogy happens. Mm-hmm. And where Ahsoka is at least 10 years after Return of the Jedi, which would be 20 years before the sequel trilogy starts.
Sure. Yeah.
So Ben Solo is either about to be born, if not already a few years old.
And that explains away why Han and Leia are not available, because they are birthing child.
For the whole season.
It does take 9 months.
Come on, push.
Chewie can help.
Chewie, get over here.
Chewie, get in here. She needs you to lactate.
Did Ahsoka restore any faith in Star Wars for you? For me, it did. Big time.
I mean, for me, I don't necessarily think my faith was ever like
Yeah,
lost because
you
I
lost
just
faith.
I did. After some of these series, I was like, holy shit. But after seeing this, I was like, yeah, in the right hands, we can get some really incredible shit. And I thought
Yeah,
that,
give the fucking thing to Dave.
yes,
Give the whole thing to Dave.
he needs to be the architect moving forward.
Yes.
That's it. Done deal.
yeah. I
Like,
again like I
They
don't I
didn't
don't
give
think
him
I
the
can
proper respect
But
when they
Bob
first bought the
Iger,
property.
Bob Iger, you know, fuck him. But he even said not too long ago that, like, I think the problem is that we're making too many
Star Wars fatigue.
shows.
Star Wars
And so we
fatigue.
need to slow it down and put quality over quantity. So after these shows come out, after you get your Skeleton Crew and your Acolyte and your Bad Batch, I think that's when you're going to start getting like, okay, next, 2024 or 2025, you're going to get this.
I think
2 years later,
debatably
you're going to
under-
get this. You know what I mean?
under- like under the whole Disney umbrella, I think that criticism is, I think, a little bit more valid in terms of where Marvel's at as opposed to Star Wars. Because I honestly think Star Wars has kind of benefited from TV
this
personally.
guy.
Goodness.
Oh
This
wow!
guy's such a troll.
Chewie, catch the baby.
Go
Go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say, like, again, I think
Hmm.
despite all the shit Bob Iger has said in the last 6 months, if there's anything of a valid criticism that came from him, like, yeah, sure, you could say that, maybe Disney and Star Wars and Marvel are probably making too much, but I honestly think it's
They
a
are.
little bit more valid in Marvel's case than it is in Star Wars. Because again, I think Star Wars has actually benefited more from TV because a lot of people for the longest time were like, give me a Star Wars TV show. That test reel they had way back when, before Disney even bought Star Wars, of what Lucas wanted to do with Star Wars on television, that was sick. Like, I think I even showed you not too long ago. We might have even showed it on the Four Nerds a while ago. But yeah, like the reason it couldn't happen was because it was just too damn expensive. But now when you've got someone like Disney backing that with all the money that they have, it's a lot more feasible to do something like Star Wars on TV show. But at the same time, I think they have branched out a lot farther than a lot of people really anticipated, because again, you've got like Star Wars Visions, which is basically, Star Wars What If. You've got Tales of the Jedi, which is again like more fluff for characters that we all love and appreciate. But then you get something like The Mandalorian, you get something like Andor, which adds texture and world building in a lot of ways that we had not seen before, and it really hits with a lot of people in a lot of ways. But then you also get a little bit deeper and you get something like Boba Fett, which was like, yeah, let's make a show about Boba Fett. Wait, what's the show going to be about? Some of the stuff they've done is a little bit half-baked in certain respects. I think even to some extent, Obi-Wan might have even been a little half-baked, because again, a lot of people were just like, it was noticeable in certain respects. Like, the volume tech was utilized in Obi-Wan, but it wasn't utilized as well as it had been in other shows.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first time he fights Obi-Wan, Darth
Vader.
Vader,
Yeah.
they're at like a fucking gravel yard. He was like, "Where are we right now? Like, why is it nighttime? Why are we at a gravel yard? Is it supposed to be Tatooine? I don't fucking know." It was terrible. Now, when they went to that underwater base, I liked it. That was badass.
Yeah.
When he hit her under his jacket, terrible. Somebody should have saw it and said, "Hey, we can't show that."
When they
That's so
showed up
dumb.
at that gate, they could go around it, but they.
Well, I even saw someone who not worked on it, but someone, it might actually, yeah, it was someone who worked on Ahsoka. They said, utilizing the volume tech kind of hindered me a little bit because I couldn't get any of the lighting that I wanted. And it's like, maybe let some of these big fight action sequences take place on a soundstage as opposed to the volume. That I think would have been a little bit more beneficial. Especially if you have someone who's literally working on the show being like, yeah, no, I had this in mind, but because they want to use the volume tech, that completely goes out the window.
Yeah.
Here's a snippet of it right here. I mean, they were like, "Oh,
look how obese he is."
They're like, "He must have a big belly.
He's got a big package under there.
Why couldn't he throw her in a crate and move her with a little
Sure, like a
this
gonk
guy
droid.
over, yeah, or like these over here. It's just like, what's happening right now? And the quality control.
I mean, they
don't
did
think was
that with
there.
fucking BB-8, right? They put him under something. He ran into shit.
I mean, you had a golden opportunity with Ewan McGregor coming back to play Obi-Wan. And I'm sorry, but I don't think they fully capitalized on it. There's things I liked about the show, but there's a lot of things I don't like about it.
Well, the things that you don't like about it is because they stretched it out to make a series. It was supposed to be just a movie, and they added shit, and it just didn't make sense.
Jack Pierce says he ate too much McDonald's.
Yeah. They also went back to the
That'll do
drawing
it.
board on
That and Taco
Obi-Wan
Bell.
more than once, and I don't know that might have been the best. I mean, was it a good idea making Darth Vader the antagonist? I would say yes, but I also think that a lot of people might have been anticipating the reunited fight between him and Darth Maul. I think that was also on a lot of people's radar.
Well, and then I'm sorry, but the
Reva?
introduction of Reva, it was unnecessary because you already had the Darth Vader Obi-Wan storyline building up, and then Reva was just kind of like, you threw her in there, and every time I'd go to her, I'd be like, I don't care. Like, can we get off this character? I want to get back to the main story. But I think that character was added because it was a show instead of a movie. I don't know.
I think Darth Vader using Inquisitors, that's very much a Rebels plot point. But at the same time, to your point, I think there's, again, like when you have Darth Vader as like the main antagonist, any other secondary antagonist just becomes absolutely moot at that point.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which sucks. Because, like, you know, you had some really solid performances there from all those actors and actresses playing those characters. But again, like when you have Darth Vader, who has just such this massive, massive presence in Star Wars in general, it's really easy to just look at these characters and be like, yeah, I don't give a shit. Show me Darth Vader.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, but the character Reva, I was not a huge fan of. I thought, I didn't think it was good. Oh, am I frozen? I'm frozen.
No,
you are frozen.
You are frozen.
And yeah, I mean, you know, I've heard that she's like, you know, this she's an award-winning actress or whatever, which is good for her. But the utilization of her character, the writing of her character, and the execution of her character did not add to the show. It actually detracted.
If I had to like be critical, I don't really like how they kind of fake out the deaths of those Inquisitors and then kind of bring them back.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. It was like, oh, okay.
It was very like
you thought I was dead? You've captured their stunt doubles.
Clearly, you haven't watched Rebels.
Well, I think stabbing someone in the abdomen only works on Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well,
Thank you.
Didn't the Inquisitor, the first one from Rebels, like I think he dies at the end of the first season, if I'm not mistaken. So it was kind of jarring to bring him back for Obi-Wan, but you know, I'm gonna have to rewatch Rebels again because I'm not quite sure
he
if that
dies again.
was ever
In Obi-Wan, he
established.
dies in the first episode or the
Right.
second episode, and you were just like, huh? And at the end, he's alive. Like, it was like,
You thought I was dead?
it was unnecessary. It was like, I don't get why we're
Tell
doing
him,
this.
Vader. Tell him what we did.
I don't tell this fool. Oompa. Oompa. All right, guys, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank everyone who came out today to watch the show. Obviously, I want to thank both Ryan and Phil for coming out and talking some Star Wars and some other nerdy movie news. Ryan, where can they find you?
You can find me on my channel, Zeverfett. You can find me on the Four Nerds every Wednesday now. I guess, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on X. And then I'll have something to do with this, kind of unveiling in a little bit.
All right. We'll be looking forward to that. Phil?
As always, Andre, it's a pleasure getting to chat with you and Ryan about anything nerdy, geeky, whatever. If anyone wants to follow me on any socials, it's just at Unfiltered. I'm actually going to start a new YouTube channel very, very soon. Probably next weekend is going to be the first episode of DC United.
Awesome. There it is.
There you go.
And guys, if you haven't done so yet, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, do so by becoming a member of the channel or joining us over on Patreon. I really do appreciate everyone who does support the channel. And I appreciate everyone who showed up today and interacted in the chat. You'll see us again live this Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Four Nerds Network for another episode of the Four Nerds. Guys, it's been fun. We'll do it again. And in my opinion, I think Ahsoka saved Star Wars in my mind. It helped it out a lot because
I think it helped it. Yes,
I didn't like where it was going, and I'm a lot happier with where it is going now. He says, "Bye, you Three Stooges."
I don't know who's who,
Jack
but
Pierre.
I'll take that, I suppose.
All right, guys, that'll do it for the show. Subscribe, like, share, subscribe to Zeverfett. Follow follow Phil over on
DC
the Eternal
United?
Night podcast, and then when he has a channel of DC United, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.